Get 'em Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, January 5th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. God, it was a exhausting roller coaster ride last night. Ends with the Patrick Kane shootout winner to take out the Kings. Exhausting. Jesus, I had so much money invested in 5-4 in college basketball. Arizona was a smash and grab to close that out to get me the profit there. And then NHL 4-6 is really disappointing. The Avalanche are just so dangerous. They just keep coming at you. The Avalanche took out the start. I've one win in my last 11 NHL overtimes and shootouts. That's going to come back to the mean. I'm going to go on a run in overtime and shootouts and bank off of it. 4-6 in NHL, down 2.09 units. So, disappointing all around, but there are some good things happening. That's the most volume I've had in the college basketball card on the year, 9 bets. I feel very good about where we're at right now, and it bothered me that I couldn't, be in the black after the marathon last night. So college basketball, Memphis first half -5 was very easy. Louisiana +6. I mean, those anything around that number. I mean, that was a tie game with minute 30 left. They lose by 7. That one hurt. Could have been a 6-3 day in college basketball. Eastern Illinois +9.5 outright winner. Penn State was an atrocity, and Detroit Mercy. I don't know why I was trying to catch a falling knife. I mean, those were mistakes. Charleston cash, SIU, Edwardsville lost, and then the Arizona double up cash. So that was great. That was great. And then in NHL, the Bruins -1 and the under 6 bad. We tied it up at 5. I mean, it was a fantastic hockey game, but didn't cash off it. Blues at home against the number 1 team in the league, coming out of the break, cash at +127. Lightning -1. The Minnesota Wild. Like I said, you put your foot on the throat of the Wild and you step down. We cashed the Lightning -1 at +132 with no sweat. We cashed the Wild team total under 3. I wish I wasn't safe and gone 2.5 and for a bigger score, but whatever. So that was win-win. Coyotes got destroyed by the Islanders. I guess what's happened now, and I was sitting there thinking about how good they played against the Avalanche. I guess they've been without Pelican Pulock for long enough, and I guess I should take them off of the fade list, the Islanders, I guess. So at this point now, I'm going to stop fading them. They've shown me enough. I don't think I have an advantage there. The Coyotes -1, 2-0 after the first. What else can you ask for? But I can tell you what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to bet them Sunday in Washington at 3 p.m. as soon as that line becomes available. Look, teams go through losing streaks. I'm going to keep betting the Kings. And, do I still think they're the best team in the league? I mean, Florida without Barkov and Rodriguez last night, without 2/3 of their first line, dominated the Stanley Cup champions. I mean, they look really good. And I'm sitting here without any futures on them. I would like to get in. I'd like to know what the situation is with Barkov and Rodriguez. So before I move on it immediately, but God, do they look good. Then Rangers first period -0.5. That was thanks to you guys. That wasn't on my radar. You guys talked about it in the chat, and I was like, that makes perfect sense. That cash, that was very important to my night, so thank you. Predators got destroyed by the Flames. I'm going to keep fading the Flames, but maybe I take them off that fade list with the Islanders at some point too. Stars, as I said, that really hurt me, and then the Wild team told on it. All right, Ken Davidson had 11 units of action, ended up losing 1 unit. Yeah, I mean, God, I went overall last night. I went 9 wins and 10 losses, down 1.48 units, and it's You know, it was upsetting. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. It's great to see you guys. We have a huge show, a packed show that I'm so excited about. We start with NHL, 3 NHL games. Then we have the CFP, but we have our college football final. We're breaking it down. Bobano and I will be breaking it down. Huskies at Michigan. I bet my SGP this morning. They may give you a bonus at some point. I don't care. I want to lock that in now, and I like it a lot. So I got my SGP locked in, and then we'll discuss side and total. I'd like to move on the total, and then I'll give you guys the insight on what's going on with the side there for me, because as you know, my father has sent in a bet on the game, and I have not sent it in. We'll get into all of that. So after that, we're capping the entire 10-game college basketball card. Every single game in college basketball will be capped, and I'm sitting here 31-15 on the year. Last night was my highest volume. Went 5-4 plus 0.61 units. I'm going to fire away today. I'm going to keep firing away. We have an enormous NBA card. 14 games on the NBA slate. We're going to destroy it with LJ from HTown, who's coming off of a winning day. And as I've told you, I've been, tracking a lot of things from a lot of different cappers. And we'll be able to talk about some of those angles that I've been telling you that I've been tracking, so we can talk about it here on the show. More specifically and most excited for me is the draws. We're using Bobano's actual bets as a test, a market test here with draws. So I look forward to telling you all about how he's going. Now, again, when we look at these stats, like, whether it be LJ and NBA or Bobano and NHL, it's just one day a week, and it's not really a fair sample size for them. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, Shout out to all you guys joining us. Vipe in the house. He's got Sengun over 4.5 assists, Porzingis over 22.5 points, Clippers money line, and Jets -1 at -110. The Jets are playing real clean hockey right now. Let me copy and paste that action. Justin McKelvey said, got absolutely crushed last night, but at least my Pubpalooza 3 is booked. But definitely a little irritated. I hate hearing that, Justin McKelvey. We'll get that back for you. And you'll get that back. You know that. It just ebbs and flows. Jazz over 111.5 team total for the Stacks play of the day. It's so exciting to hear that you are locked in, though, for San Antonio, Justin. Finally, we get a chance to hang together. It's going to be money, man. It's just going to be magic. So excited that you're going to be there rocking with us, man. It'll be your favorite weekend of the year. It's my favorite weekend of the year, man. So Dante Mack in the house there is Michael Johnson said, LA got me last night. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was our fault. We were very bullish on them despite the market move towards the Red Wings. Ian Shaber, Red Girl Series Business TNT says, yay, go Sabres. They look great last night. God, Tage is good. He's so good. I was very fortunate to stay off the Habs. I stared at that for, God, I don't know. 18 hours. I was thinking about betting the Habs, and I didn't, thank God. There's Slats. He says, on the train heading to Toronto, listening to the best gambling show on the internet. Shout out to our guy, Slatsy, Tammy, on their way to Whitby to hang out with family. We love you, Slatsy, and please send our love to Tammy as well. Billy Friedrich in the house. Eric Jones. Rocco Rogers. Love seeing you back in business. Rocco said, a great night in NHL. Cashed the Calgary, Nashville, first period over. That was beautiful. Dallas, Colorado, first period over in Tampa in regulation. Great job, Rocco. Great job. AOD in the house. James Ponders, Nut Flush, Allen. Philly Eagle, Flyers, Stars, Avs. First period, both teams to score. And first period, full game overs, and first period, full game draws. Exact goals, 9. Wow, look at that. Philly Eagle, Flyer. Jackets, money line. I wish I had moved on them. I watched it very closely. I think they're going to be able to handle this, and Werenski being out, I still think they have so much. I hate that Werenski got hurt to mess my action up. I expect to bet them tomorrow, and maybe I'm a day late. We'll see how that bangs out. Red Wings money line for Philly Eagle Flyer. What a score that was! Full game draw. Panthers puck line and Lightning puck line. Spectacular work. Philly Eagle Flyer, you're a monster. North Ender 1-2 day yesterday, first losing day of the new year, ready to get back on track. Let's get that right here. JP saying, yeah, the Kings did me dirty. Yeah, it's our fault. There is my guy Morgan Spooner in the house. Morgan, it's just one game. Who cares? Let's move on. Focus on today. Dante Mack, Jay Smooth. Great to see all of you guys in the house. Morgan Spooner, favorite looks Miami of Ohio and Illinois plus 10.5. I will copy and paste that action here right now. Copied and pasted. All right, it's great to see all you guys. So let's get to work. Saturated in the house is going to listen to break down everything while I make a bunch of lotto ticket parlays. I love it. We see you cash them all the time, man. They ain't lotto tickets for you. Robert Franklin ready to get to work. 6-2 yesterday. I love it. There's Rodney M ready to work. Wine Time Sports in the house. Kent Davies actually locked in for San Antonio too. I love it. Just the Wednesday before. We'll get in. We'll be in the bar probably by like 9:30 at night Wednesday. So we will see you there. All right. So, and TNT says, don't send it in. I like it. I like it. I like that you believe that as well. We heard Jose come in yesterday. It was very funny. Dana Delp ready to get to work. There's Kelly McInnes ready to eat. So let's do exactly that. Slate said Jets have allowed 3 or less goals in 27 straight. It's absolutely phenomenal. Even Bressois has only allowed 4 goals in the last 7 games. So let's get into NHL right now. This is going to be a lot of fun. I love these Fridays. My ROI is being very, very strong on these Fridays as of late. I swept the board in college basketball last Friday with the help of our guest, and I look forward to working with him here right now. 3 NHL games, 1 college football final, and 10 college basketball games before LJ from HTown joins us. So without further ado, thank you so much for being here. Now let's get that papier, shall we? Let's bring on our first guest. He is the star of Hitting the Books here every Monday throughout the college football season. It was such a hit show. He will be a big part of our Monday live stream, and it's going to be tight because we'll start right after last call ends. So we'll start right at 7 p.m. and we'll only have 30 minutes really before kickoff. So we'll just come out guns a-blazing. Everybody's action will be up, but we'll talk about our action here on the show. And he is the star of the Ice Guys. Please welcome from Canada's Black and Yellow Hamilton, Ontario, Mr. Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you, my friend?
First Friday of the new year. I'm excited. Let's have a good one.
Let's have a good one. And I am running the producing here for a little bit. I think that Jose might be listening from the studio. He's going to leave, but we don't have the first overlay, but that is fine. We're going to get into NHL right now without the graphics here, but let's get into it. But first, let's talk about some of the information that we've been. Oh, beautiful! There we go. Look at Jose. What magic from backstage. I love it. Thank you, Jose. Let's go over what's been happening here in NHL.
Ghost of Jose's helping out.
Yeah. I know he's money in the bank. He's got other stuff to do, and he's still money in the bank.
Yeah.
So let's go over what's happening in NHL. So first off, I'm just middling here. 61 and 68, 47.3%. My average line is plus 110. So I'm down 0.86 units. My ROI 0.67%. I was in the black, for the last few days, and then I fell off, losing 2.09 units last night on my 10 games of action. Bobano, you have changed your style here in front of us, and I'm watching it very closely, and we all are, and I'm tracking it very closely. You in NHL right now are 25 and 38, hitting at 39.7%, but your average line is plus 169 with your draws. You are down 2.74 units with an ROI minus 4.35%. On Friday, you talked about how if you hit 1 draw, you're good. If you hit 2 draws, you're in the black heavy. And that's what happened for you on Friday. You went 5 and 7 plus 3.62 units. So I told you guys that we're tracking Bobano's draws, and I'm watching them very closely. Bobano had his best day on draws last Friday of this young season. And again, this is just his stats from one day of the week. So it's not a fair analysis of how he's doing overall. So keep that in mind throughout all of this. So we can't just base everything on what he's doing on one day of the week. But he's 3 and 10 on draws on the show. He's hitting at 23.1%. He's up 1.3 units, an ROI of 10%. And an average line of plus 366. On Friday, with his draws, he went 2 and 3 plus 4.7 units. So there you go. We're going to be watching it very closely as we watch everything that Bobano does, that everybody on this show does, because we're all trying to get better. We're all trying to improve. So there you go. There is the breakdown of
the whole season, 7 days a week. I'm profitable with draws, no doubt. And probably about 23, 24% for the season. I've got added up after last night because actually it probably went up after last night. I had 2 draws. I had Jackets Flyers draw, and I had Avalanche Stars draw. last night on the NHL slate. So a couple more hits. So they're great bets. They are. And if you can really whittle it down to teams that play close games, teams that in their recent form have played a lot of one-goal games and multiple overtime or shootout games, and then you have series history between the two teams playing where they've played a lot of close games and multiple overtime games. That's really the formula. It's not like we're splitting the atom figuring out these draw bets. We're just using very, very plausible, practical approach with them, and so far the results have been good.
And we'll be watching them very closely. So I love it. There you go. So there is the analysis that we talked that we'd be doing all year, watching the change in Bobano's approach and how it will affect here. And he says over 7 days a week, it's in the black. And here on 1 day a week, it's in the black. So we'll keep watching it very closely. Shout out to our guy, Razor Sharp Picks, coming in with the horse play of the day, Aqueduct Race 4, a little Luca at 9-2, and then giving us his entire card. What a guy you are, Razor. Thank you so much for sharing your hard work with us. Can't wait to be hanging out with you in San Antonio. I can almost taste the Jager bombs right now. All right, let's get to work here, Bobano. We start at 7 p.m.
Jager
Eastern.
bombs are awesome.
7 p.m. Eastern with the Chicago.
Great Jager's good too, actually. Although some people may disagree.
I don't know of any kind of hard booze that I don't enjoy immensely. I have
not a little harder, Jimmy. I mean, 40's knocking on my door, so it is getting a little harder with that stuff. Yeah,
don't let it. I haven't had a drink in 2024, so I'm champing for our Sunday night live stream. 7 p.m. Eastern, Chicago Blackhawks 11-24-2, 4-15-1 on the road at the New Jersey Devils, 20-14-2, 8-8-2 at home, Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. I've got Arvid Soderblom listed. I'm not sure if that will be the case, so let me know if I've got that wrong. Soderblom 2-12-1, 4.07 goals against average, 874 save percentage, no shutouts. Vitek Vanacek 13-7-1, 3.35 goals against average, 883 save percentage. He's been atrocious. I'd love it if Dawes could take this job from him. Chicago power play is meek at 12.7%, penalty killing at 73.6%. Bedard's been making some very questionable defensive choices, and he's been costing his team some goals. That'll happen. And when you're a last place team, you can roll through it. They were talking about in the Bruins game how that with Poitras, they can't have that happen, right? They need him to play as strong defensively as he possibly can. This is a team that has an eye on winning the Stanley Cup. Now, Bedard, on the other hand, he can make all these mistakes, and you just take it with a grain of salt. The Blackhawks are on the second half of back-to-back after losing their fourth straight game, 4-1 at the Rangers last night. They've been outscored 15-2 over their last 3 losses. But one thing I've been mentioning throughout is that this market knows how bad they are. I do not see any advantage really fading them at all. They're just pretty clear. Beauvillier out with a wrist injury. Joey Anderson out with a shoulder injury. Andreas Athanasiou out with a groin injury. Seth Jones still out with a shoulder injury. Tyler Johnson out with a foot injury. Taylor Radish, who's picked up a couple goals recently in the game, he's out with a groin injury, and of course Taylor Howell out long term. This is not a team that has the depth to handle those situations. I don't know how to fade them, because they're so disrespected in the marketplace. You guys got me on the Rangers first period -0.5. I didn't even look at it. When I see -475, -500, I was shocked that I got even money on the minus a half first period. That was thanks to you guys. I kind of just let go of these spots. The Devils bounced back from their 5-2 loss at Boston by winning their 4th over the last 5 games, 6-3 at Washington on Wednesday. They showed off their offensive depth, 6 goals, and Jack Hughes only produced a second assist. Dawson Mercer, I love the kid, 2020, first round draft pick, 18th overall from the Rock, from Newfoundland. And he's the real deal. I think he's going to be a real quality top 6 forward. And they need production from guys like Mercer, because Timo Meier, Thomas Nosek, Andre Palat, all out of the lineup. Let's do a quick look at the line history here. I've not moved on this game from that's the cash flow. Sorry, my bad. From a line history standpoint here, we have the Devils right now at Pinnacle at -432. They opened up at -408, being a 24-cent move in their direction. And from a total standpoint here, we have a 6.5. It's -103 to the under. It opened +105 to the under. So we have had 8 cents of movement towards that under from 105 to -103. There's actually a bigger move on that over, away from the over. The over opened up at over 6.5 at -121. Pinnacle only opened this up 3 hours ago. Over 6.5 -121. That's down to -109. Take it away for us here, Bobano, our first game on the board, Blackhawks Devils.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different here with New Jersey, because I want to be on New Jersey in some form, but I'm not interested at minus 400 on the money line or regulation or puck line. None of that has any value. How do I get to New Jersey in this game? How do I back them in some form? Because not only is Chicago very depleted up front, Chicago is also on a back-to-back after playing against the Rangers last night. They're struggling mightily. New Jersey's trying to get on some sort of roll. So I want to back New Jersey in some form, but I'd prefer to go to the player prop market to do that. And I think that's the best way to do that. Even the team total, like you're not getting a great price there with that. Like it's 4.5 and, it's barely even money. So even like they could definitely score 5 against the Chicago team. I could see it, but I don't love betting team totals over. So you mentioned one of the players that I'm using as an official play. I have 2 player props here for New Jersey. And, man, I was tempted to go with the goal prop for both of them here for official plays. And I actually do like the goal prop for these 2 players, but I'm going to go with the point prop instead with both of them for official plays. The first one is Dawson Mercer, minus 125 at DraftKings to get a point. He's on fire right now. He is producing for the Devils, whether it's scoring, whether it's setting up his line mates. He's been involved in the play. He's on a great offensive surge right now. So just minus 125 for him to get a point. I love it. And then the other one that I like is the defenseman, Luke Hughes for the New Jersey Devils. He's either scoring or he's assisting basically in every game lately. He has been involved. He's been joining he always does, but he's doing that even more. He's not scared to shoot the puck. He has been in on so much of the offense lately for the New Jersey Devils. He almost scored the other night, and he got an assist on a power play goal. So he's been involved a ton lately for the Devils, and he's only minus 115 at BetMGM to get a point tonight. So that's an outstanding price. Luke Hughes, minus 115 to get a point. So 2 official plays on player props. And I have goal props on both of them. They're small bets, so I'm not making them official. But I did sprinkle on Luke Hughes plus 460 to score a goal. Dawson Mercer plus 202 at Pinnacle to score a goal. So I do have smaller plays on that. But we're going to go with the point prop just to be a little safer for the official plays. And I'm also going to jump on this over, Jimmy, at 6.5. Now, I know New Jersey's going to have to probably do most of the scoring for me. But New Jersey at home, it's like they want to put on a show. It's like they need to put on a show. There's this burning desire where we don't have to play with structure. We don't have to play with defensive principles. We want to put on a show at home. Look at that Columbus game as a perfect example. Now, I know they survived and they won in overtime, but they just played lackadaisical, sloppy defensive hockey for much of that game. And they get crushed by Edmonton at home 6-3. They've just had some ugly games on home ice. I mean, Anaheim rolled into there and trucked them 5-1. It's just at home they get away from playing that sound, structured defensive hockey. And they're not a great defensive team this year to begin with. But I find they get away from that even more at home. I think Chicago can find the back of the net. Just asking them maybe to get a goal, maybe 2, because that could be all you need, 2 goals from Chicago to hit the over. I think New Jersey will get 5. Arvid Soderblom in net probably on the back-to-back because it was Mrazek last night. He's been brutal. He has been absolutely hideous in net for Chicago. Terrible. So I have no questions New Jersey can probably light it up tonight. I think Chicago against Vanacek, who I don't love. In fact, I'm with you. I think Nico Daws is playing better right now than Vitek Vanacek. He's been good. The Ottawa game he won, the Washington game he won the other night. He played well, that kid, both games. Vanacek's up and down and all over the place. He's like the Forrest Gump of goaltenders. You never know what you're going to get, one night to the next with him. So I'm going to grab this over here, hoping that New Jersey can score a bunch and Chicago can chip in just enough to get us there. So over 6.5 minus 105 at Caesars.
Over 6.5 minus 105 for Bobano. I'm off Blackhawks, Devils. I moved on my action maybe 5 o'clock last night. And it comes in this next game right here. Let's move on to it. By the way, Mercer, 4 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games. He's just running. 7 p.m. Eastern, Carolina Hurricanes, 21-13-4, 11-10-1 on the road. Washington Capitals, 18-12-6, 9-5-4 at home. Capital One Arena. Washington, D.C. Mission fade Capitals in full effect. Every game, every opportunity, every chance. Wow. Peter Kochekov, 10-7-3, 2.53 goals against average, 904 save percentage, 1 shutout. Darcy Kemper, 9-8-2, 3.15 goals against average, 893 save percentage, no shutouts. I told you guys how lucky we were that the Caps got off to a good start. Now the market's not blinded by because remember, even when they got up to the good start, I went to their future point totals, and it wasn't like they thought they were going to make the playoffs or anything like that. But still, it was helpful for us, and we get good lines because of it. Carolina, 27.3% power play, 83.1% penalty killing. Washington, 13.7% power play, 81.1% penalty killing. DC Capper, look, man, you always fight the good fight, man. You're such a big, I just love capping with you, man. And I know that how much you want everybody to know where your action is. And we watch you cash day in and day out. So just love that sentiment. Love that it's so important to you. And I just love capping with you, man. So respect to you, DC, my guy. So here we go. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today, Carolina -1. And that is exactly what I bet as soon as I could. I was shocked at the line. Look, I know Carolina's just 11-10-1 on the road, but this is a team winning hockey games right now, rolling. Do I want to back Carolina off a fourth straight win, 6-1 at the Rangers on Tuesday? I'm actually thankful they're on the road because that gives me a hope that they can stay, locked in, that Brind'Amour can keep them locked in and not kind of start feeling good about themselves. But I moved on this, and I got a great line when I moved on this. When I can tell you the exact time, too, here. I got -1 at -106. Oh, God, this is pretty late. This was at 7:58 p.m. Last night. I thought I got in there earlier. But what a great line that I thought that I was getting. -165 on the money line and +150 on the puck line. And that was at Bet365. I had to use the -1 calculator that Ron Crawford hooked us up with. So from a total scenario, we're sitting at a 6 at a pick'em. This has it's moved a little bit to the over and then come right back to the exact same price. And then on the money line, we have Carolina -177. They were -172 when I moved at the -165 at Bet365. So Pinnacle already was respecting the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes got up to -180 at 5 a.m. They're sitting at -177. I imagine the market's going to continue moving in their direction. So 2018 second overall pick, Andrei Svechnikov is rolling. He's rolling right now, and 6 goals, 5 assists over his past 5 games. He's a monster when he gets going, and he's a huge, huge part of this team. And when he's rolling, they score. When he's not, they don't. Noasin, and Nechas hasn't taken the next step that I thought he was going to take, and I picked him in the hockey pool thinking he was going to become their leading scorer, and I was wrong there. I can't put my finger on what the hell's wrong with them, and I need to watch closer, and I will. But Jesper Fast dealing with an upper body injury. Both could return, Noasin and Fast, tonight. Capitals coming off their 5th loss in 6 games. I already plan on betting the Kings on Sunday, 3 p.m. to fade the Capitals. I'm on the fade Capitals train nonstop. This will be their 3rd game in 4 nights for the Capitals. Charlie Lindgren out. TJ Oshie and Sonny Milano also out with injuries. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Hurricanes, Capitals.
And Rasmus Sandin might not play. He's been a good defenseman for Washington, especially chipping in offense from the blue line lately for them. Carolina is dealing with a couple of absences that could be concerning. Jesper Foss, Stefan Nason are day-to-day, may not play tonight for the Hurricanes. Good depth forwards, although that might have been more of a concern earlier in the season, having 2 depth forwards out because the big guns were not playing good enough early in the season. That's not the case now with Carolina. Aho's been great. Svechnikov is finally getting his game back, finally getting his confidence back, and producing like we know he can in recent games. He's been very good for the Hurricanes, no question about that. Darcy Kemper in net, who's not been great. I guess he was pretty good against Pittsburgh. And he did shut the door, when they were hanging on 4-3 for dear life. He had to make some big saves, and they hung on, and they held on for the win in that game. But still, before that, he gave up 5 goals in each of his last 2 starts before that. So I still don't trust him fully. Kochekov's on fire right now. He is the guy you got to roll with if you're Rod Brind'Amour. He's playing great in between the pipes right now for them. The Ranger game, he was spectacular. The Leaf game, he was outstanding last Saturday. So that's going to determine what I do in this game, because this is a back-to-back for the Hurricanes. They play at home against St. Louis tomorrow night on a back-to-back. So we know that Kochetkov is not going to start both games, that probably Antti Raanta, who has been struggling, who was sent down to the AHL, they basically Samsonoved him and sent him down to the similar episode with Samsonov where he's lost his confidence. a little fragile mentally. Sent him down, try to get his head right. He's back up. He's going to start one of these games, either tonight or tomorrow. If he starts the game tonight, I'd prefer the full game over with these two teams tonight. If he doesn't start this game tonight and it's Kochetkov again, then I wouldn't trust Washington to put up a ton of goals with the way he's playing right now in between the pipes. So what I'm going to do for the show right now is because I'm with you. I kind of want to look at Carolina, and I lean that way as well. I'm going to go team total with Carolina right now, because now, for the purposes of this show, if you bet the team total for Carolina, you don't give two shits who's in net for them tonight, because all you're focusing on is get to 4 goals against Washington and Kemper, which I think they're very capable of right now. It's another thing, too. It's not just Kochetkov and net has been good. This offense has come to life. 4 more goals in 4 of their last 5 games for the Carolina Hurricanes. The power play has been very good. I mean, they've scored multiple power play goals in 4 of the last 5. So this is actually a good game for power play point props, maybe, for the Carolina Hurricanes with the way their power play is clicking right now. So because of the goaltending being an unknown for them, whether it's Kochetkov or Ranta, like I say, if we find out later it's Ranta, I probably would like a full game over. But for now, I'm going to treat it like it's Kochetkov. And even then, with Ranta in net, I still like this team total, because then I don't have to worry about the goaltending situation at all for the Hurricanes tonight by betting the team total. So over 3.5 plus 105 at Pinnacle for the Carolina Hurricanes team total over.
Canes team total over 3.5. Was that plus 105?
Plus 105. Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice number. Nice number to get to 4 goals. So my plan, and at the end, I'll tell you my plan. I want Kochetkov in net tonight. I want Ranta to be announced and the line to move towards the Blues, who are playing well. And I want to bet the Canes again. That's my plan right now. It can change with what happens tonight. I'll tell you my plan.
I don't trust Ranta, but I'm with you. Carolina's a go-with team right now. So you know what I'd do tomorrow night? We'd go right back to the team total. And maybe the full game over, I'll add that too if it's Ranta. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. So it's important to put your plan together. It's important to stay ahead of everything. And my plan is set for the rest of the weekend. We'll go over that at the end of NHL.
The team total bet. If you're worried about the D, if you're worried about the goalie, you can still back that team. Go the team total route. I do this a lot, and it's great.
And Dan Bonner
is better.
Dan Bonner in the house says, if you like the team total over 3.5, another angle, you could look the race to 4 for the Hurricanes, and that price at plus 145. Very similar plays. Yes, but again, it's the defense in case Ranta's in. Because if it is Ranta in, could you see the Canes winning 5-4? Now, I think that Ranta will progress to the mean, but we'll see how it all bangs out.
See, I feel better about race to 4 with Kochetkov. No question about that. No question about that. Yeah.
No, great points. Yep. Great points from all you guys. Ron Crawford on the Carolina Hurricanes -1 as the spreadsheet play today. I'm right there with him. Shout out to our Ron Crawford. All right, out. Yes, we're capping every single one of the NCAA basketball games. Joe T cashed easily again with his best spot on his model yesterday. You got to keep an eye on what Joe T's doing because it's very impressive. So Joe T,
I love my Metro Atlantic basketball. These Friday nights in the MAAC, the MAC, I've been capping this conference in CBB for like 15 years, 10, 15 years since I really started. And it's been one of my favorites. I know the basketball and the teams can be shit. It's not the strongest conference, not even close, but I've been following it for a long time. I love these Friday nights with Metro Atlantic basketball.
I love it too. I love 10 games on the card that we can jump into. But let's keep rolling here. Our final game in NHL before we get into the college football national championship. Let me get this moving up to the next spot on the board for us. And that is the final spot in NHL, 10 p.m. Eastern. Winnipeg Jets 23-9-4. My over 91.5 points looking very nice. 10-4-2 on the road at Anaheim Ducks, 13-23-1, 6-14-1 at home, Honda Center in Anaheim, California. Laurent Brossoit, 5-3-1, 2.44 goals against average, 9-12 save percentage, no shutouts. He's allowed 4 goals over his last 7 games. He's been excellent. The Jets have been excellent. I don't know why the Stars got rid of Bonus. He's an old school guy. And this was a team that Maurice left because he questioned their heart. The Stars, I question Seguin and Duchesne's heart, even though they combined for a nice goal last night all the time. Bonus is that guy. He's that old school guy. He's like the 7th Sutter brother. I don't understand why he was let go of the Stars. I like Bonus. I like what he's done. And I don't know. Winnipeg, 16.8% power play, 73.8% penalty killing. Gibson in net for the Ducks, 7-15-0, 2.96 goals against average, 904 saves. And Dostal was spectacular against the Leafs, man. Dostal has, when he gets hot, it's just stay away. Anaheim power play, 19.8% and penalty killing, 80.1%. Let's get into the line history here for this one, our last game before we get into the college football final. We have Winnipeg sitting here at minus 177. They opened up at minus 189, so we have a move towards these Ducks. The Ducks opened up at plus 165. Again, that was just 802 this morning, and then plus 158 is where they are right now. And from a total perspective, where the Jets just aren't allowing more than 3 goals, 27 straight games where they haven't allowed more than 3 goals. So from a total standpoint here, we are at 6. We are at 6, and it's minus 115 to the under. A lot of pick'ems out there. Pinnacle is the one that's heavily moved to this under. This opened up under 6 minus 108. It's now under 6 at minus 115. I get the under look, but I'm just a little hesitant with all these tight games that there aren't going to be some bounces at some point. But maybe the under is just a slam dunk spot. Winnipeg comes in on the second half back-to-back after 2-1 victory at San Jose last night to extend their franchise record point streak to 10 games. I went over yesterday all the games that they've lost, and they've all been against the worst teams in the NHL, and that's why we didn't take them on the puck line yesterday. That was good. It was tough. It was staring at us for a long time, that puck line. Good thing we didn't move on it. Brossoit has been excellent. The Ducks coming off their third straight loss, 2-1 overtime at home versus Leafs on Wednesday night. Troy Terry will miss the game with an upper body injury, and Ryan Strome is day-to-day with the same ailment. This is another team that does not have the depth to handle losing those 2 guys. They just got McTavish, Zegras, and Drysdale back, and what a difference those 3 make. I still telling you, McTavish will be a center on Team Canada in the Olympics next year. He's the best player on that hockey team for me by a mile. Like, he's just magic. And there's a sickness going through the locker room or the dressing room. Radko Gudas and Ross Johnson are dealing with it now. I'm not sure if they will be in the lineup. Oh, there's Kent Davis saying sickness going around the Ducks locker room. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Our last game on the board before the college football final, Jets-Ducks.
Yeah, this is one where the Jets have owned this team in terms of head-to-head, 8-2 and 6 straight over Anaheim, including three in a row. Yeah, 3 in a row here in Anaheim. They've beaten this team, and Anaheim's struggling. Let's be real. I mean, they're having a tough time, and it's been disappointing because they've gotten most people healthy, and unfortunately, other than Carlson, who's out long term, Terry actually is now on the IR. It looks like Terry, where they were hoping just day to day, but they've now put him on injured reserve. So now this looks like he might be out he's going to miss some time now. So that's unfortunate. You mentioned how Strome and Gudas are questionable with the flu running through this team. So it's impossible, I think, to back the Ducks here right now. But it is back-to-back for the Jets. It is Laurent Brossoit, not Connor Hellebuck in net. So, but although, Brossoit's been solid. I mean, Brossoit's a very, very capable backup goalie. The numbers are good. 5-3, 2.44 goals against average, 912 save percentage. He's given up 2 goals or less, Laurent Brossoit, in 4 straight starts. So we really have to give him his due. He's playing well. He's given Winnipeg a chance to win every night. So this is not one of those deals where, Laurent Brossoit's in net, fade Winnipeg. Don't think that. Anaheim's playing poorly. They're banged up. They got the flu running through the team. That's a very, very difficult combination to say, yeah, let's bet the Ducks here in this game. This is the game where I strongly considered the draw the most, just because, we know Anaheim's capable of just being pesky, and we know this could be like last night with Winnipeg against San Jose, where Winnipeg was a little lackadaisical last night, and they just did enough to get by, and beat San Jose last night in that game. I worry that's the same thing here we see tonight, that they're not great, but they do enough to get by. The game is close, and therefore I think the draw could hit. But I don't love it enough to make it official, and I don't love anything else in this game enough, so it's a pass for me.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised the under's not being hammered. I'm a little surprised.
Do they go back to the kid Dostal, who looked like Lucas Hasek? Not Dostal the other night.
He was phenomenal.
Form going.
Absolutely
awesome.
phenomenal. That Austin Matthews goal was like out of my wildest dreams. And it's just that's Marner that pause and then then the snipe job is just like magic. I don't know why this under's not being hammered at other books. One thing about hockey is when something looks really easy, it is. This doesn't have the same tomfoolery that NBA and NFL have. I guess I should just move on this under 6 and call it a day. I mean, the Jets are just going to play clean and tight. They have no Connor. They don't play well on the power play. Their issue, their Achilles heel right now is their penalty killing, and the Ducks' power play with McTavish and Drysdale out there is so much better than it was. And Zegras, it's just completely different. I maybe should I be worried that this market isn't moving to I know we're about to get into college football, but I need to see, as no books other than Pinnacle move this to the under. 79% of cash, 79% of tickets are on the under. I guess I'm interested in moving on it. Maybe I add this to my card, the under in Jets Ducks. But also, am I just seeing what I saw last night? There's too many biases going on here. I've got to let it go. This is just out there on the silver platter here. That we just watched a 2-1 game. The Jets haven't allowed more than 3 goals in 27 straight games, and yet they didn't offer us a 5.5. If they had offered us a 5.5, I'd find that more appealing, because then the books are nervous about this under. Maybe with their data on the second half of a back-to-back, there's some tired legs on the back check. And
you know what, Jimmy? I changed my mind. Give me that draw. I'm putting it on the tab. Plus 370 at FanDuel. Winnipeg, Anaheim draw. I'm looking at, what convinced me? I'm looking at Winnipeg's last 4 on the road. And we know at home they've been great. At home, they've even destroyed teams at home. They destroyed Boston. They destroyed Colorado at home. But look at this Winnipeg ledger recently on the road coming into tonight. At San Jose, a 1-goal victory, 2-1. At Minnesota, a 1-goal victory, 3-2. At Chicago, 2-1 loss in overtime. Before that, San Jose again, 2-1. Loss there. So every game's been nip and tuck on the road lately for Winnipeg, and every game's been a 1-goal game lately. So when I see that, and I see plus 370 is the price I'm being offered with the draw, I'm going to take it.
I'm not 100% off of betting the under. I'm just going to spend a little bit more time on it to make sure that I'm not just messing with the biases here in play. All right, that is NHL. So Bobano moving heavy on Blackhawks Devils. Mercer point -125. Hughes point -115. The over 6.5 -105.
Luke Hughes, by the way.
Yes, Luke Hughes. I have L Hughes there. Thank you. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play date Carolina -1. I'm also on Carolina -1. Bobano's on the Canes team total over 3.5 +105. Bobano's on the draw in Jets Ducks, and I haven't cut the under out completely out of my action. Okay. That is NHL.
If Chicago can take Winnipeg to overtime at home, which they did recently, Anaheim can.
It's time for us to talk about the College Football National Championship, Monday, January 8th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and we will be live for this. So join us live. I can't wait to be a part of this big show. Our stream pops off at 7 p.m. Eastern. I have already moved on the same game parlay in this. I am very close to moving on a first half total and a full game total, and a side bet that I guess I don't have to make. So let me start here with my same game parlay that it's just going to be for $100. It's a rec bet. There'll be just $100 SGP. The other bets are going to be more, the higher unit size. And usually I save this just for the people live on our live stream. But my SGP is the Huskies plus 3.5 at plus 105. The Huskies team total over 20.5. Rome Odunze over 89.5 receiving yards, and Rome Odunze touchdown. That is plus 450. Clean SGP.
I think I know what side you like in that game.
Well, I haven't bet the Huskies. My dad sent me $300 on Michigan minus 4.5, and I didn't send it in. So I guess I have 300 on the Huskies plus 4.5. And I didn't get there fully until basically last night. I also want the first half under and the full game under, but I wanted to talk it out with you guys before I pulled the trigger on that. And you can see that it's not a part of my SGP, which I'm fine with. I don't want all my eggs in one basket when we watch the national championship together. So here we go. Washington Huskies 14-0, Michigan Wolverines 14-0. We're at Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We will start with the spread. From a spread perspective, we are sitting here with a move back to Michigan. So Michigan -4s is what it opened. It moved to 4.5. And then yesterday, Washington +4.5 was -115. There's been an 8-cent move towards Michigan this morning at 9:19. And I can understand the idea of backing these Wolverines. I can understand why people find them appealing. From a total standpoint here, it's a full point lower at Pinnacle than it is at other books. We're sitting here with a 55.5 at Pinnacle. We see 56s out there and 56.5s. We get to the cash flow. The uncomfort around backing Washington is they are, a public dog right now. Will that stay? I'm not sure. 68% of the tickets at this point, Friday, January 5th, 11:48 a.m. Eastern. 68% of the tickets are on the Huskies and 72% of the cash. I don't like being in that spot. From a total perspective, 27% of the tickets and 43% of the cash is on the under. That's a perfect spot. That is a perfect spot. Kent Davies says, can Washington stop the run? No. Let's discuss all of that here in better detail and then hand it over to our guy, Bobano. This is the first time in the college football playoff era that we have two undefeated teams facing each other, and these two teams couldn't be more different from each other. The Huskies coming off a 37-31 victory over Texas in the semis in the Sugar Bowl at the Superdome. They closed as 3.5-point dogs. Kalen DeBoer has done an absolutely spectacular job with the Huskies. 2 years in, sitting on a 21-game winning streak. He's been an underdog 5 times in the past 2 years, and he's covered all of them. They've won 10 straight games by 10 points or less. That's a huge, huge factor for me. They're used to playing in these tight games. They're used to having to put together a big drive. A lot of people said about J.J. McCarthy before the semis was that he hadn't done that. We hadn't seen him there'd be no need for him to put together the big drive at the end of the game. Now we just saw him do that under a ton of pressure. And we all remember that first pass from scrimmage in that game should have been an interception. He did look a little shaky off the top, but he got that big drive in. Let's go back to Washington here. This is a battle-hardened group led by a mature senior quarterback at the top of this game, Michael Penix Jr. Against Texas, Penix was 29-38 for 430 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. On the year, he's completed 66.7% of his passes for 4,648 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Huskies ranked 5th in offensive success rate and yards per play. They lead the country in passing offense. And Penix controlled the pace of the game. Washington had the ball for 36 minutes and 20 seconds. Mississippi State transfer star junior running back Dylan Johnson, who is, of course, helped off the field at the end of the Sugar Bowl, is good to go here. That injury he's been dealing with for 2 months. And it didn't stop him for running for 1,162 yards, 16 touchdowns this year. But, and this is a huge but, his importance is in pass protection more than anything else. He excels in pass protection. And we're talking about the best offensive line in the country with a running back who is phenomenal blocking. Rome Odunze, you've already heard. I'm on him. He caught 6 passes for 125 yards. He's got for 100 or more in 4 straight games. He hasn't got a touchdown in 2 straight games. 6'3". He everything you want in the receiver. He'll be a first-round draft pick. He caught for 1,553 yards, 13 touchdowns. They got Polk ready, and they got McMillan back. So they got weapons other than Odunze. And the question has always been with the Huskies, is their defense strong enough to get them wins against the best teams in the country? Harbaugh and the Wolverines are close to getting to the top of the mountain. Michigan comes in off that 27-20 overtime victory over Alabama in the Rose Bowl. It was very impressive. McCarthy was 17-27 for 221 yards, 3 touchdowns. On the year, he's completed 73.2% of his passes for 2,851 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But he doesn't scare me over the top. He has a 7.6% check down rate. That's the 7th highest in the country among quarterbacks with 300 or more pass attempts. Blake Corum scares me. He ran 19 times for 83 yards and a touchdown. On the year, he ran for 1,111 yards, 25 touchdowns. He scored the winning touchdown in overtime against Alabama. We know as the game goes on, he runs harder and defenses show, they get tired. They get tired, and he seems to take advantage. That motor doesn't stop. And we know what Michigan wants to do. They want to run the ball down the throats of this Husky defense that has allowed the 10th worst run success percentage in the country. Michigan should be able to get what they want on the ground and keep Penix off the field. That's what's been leading me towards the unders. That and some nerves in the beginning. And I don't want to just have a full game under because we know what these teams can do when push comes to shove. And I also think this is going to be a closer game than people may think. And who knows if we get to overtime. And I don't want to lose it because of that. I felt bad for everybody who lost the total in Michigan, Alabama. I want to have the first half. And I may only bet the first half. That's why I want to talk it out with you guys and hear what Bobano has to say. But Michigan, they run the ball with authority. And if you look at what teams have done against Washington, Oregon ran 20 times for 124 yards in the Pac-12 championship. Texas ran 28 times for 180 yards in the Sugar Bowl. But the Huskies won both of those football games. Now, yes, Michigan is a complete package. 9th in offensive success rate, 9th in defensive success rate. Their defense was excellent against Alabama. They sacked Milroe 6 times. They were 4th in the country in opponent yards per play. But again, this Husky offensive line is the best in the country. They only allowed 11 sacks all year. They didn't allow Texas to get 1 in the Sugar Bowl. Michigan's defense is elite against the pass. So I like the under. I just haven't decided exactly how much I want to bet on it because this is a national championship. Maybe we want to go more than a unit. And if I want to do both first half and full game. There we go. Can't wait to hear your thoughts in the chat. I will be highlighting them. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. Take it away. College football playoff, national championship. Bobano, the floor is yours.
That's probably the one single matchup in the trenches that's going to decide this game. You know, the great pass rush in front 7 defensively for Michigan against Washington's elite offensive line. And they are elite. They don't give up sacks. They keep Michael Penix Jr. clean in the pocket. That's why Michael Penix Jr. is having the great season he's having and why he's had the great career he's had at Washington. Indiana never could keep that guy healthy and clean and upright and avoid him from taking hits over and over again. That's why he didn't pan out at Indiana. They had a horrible offensive line when he played there. Awful. And he just never could stay on the field. Well, now they finally got, an offensive line that's elite. They've got, I think, one of the best receiving corps in college football in the country. There's no question with what they've got. It's such a benefit to have Dylan Mitchell healthy. It looks like he's going to play because not only is he a good running back and catch the ball out of the backfield, but a good blocker too from a running back spot. So here's the thing with Michigan. That defense and the pass rush against Alabama was dominant. But what did we know about Alabama going into that game? We knew that all season long they had issues with pass protection. All season long it was a problem for Alabama. Protecting for Jalen Milroe consistently. And the chickens came home to roost last Monday in Pasadena in that semifinal. Where finally, we saw those pass protection issues hurt them badly because they could never get sustained drives, and Michigan took advantage of that. Is Michigan maybe able to do that here? I'm not so sure because Texas was supposed to have a team that was capable of getting to the quarterback. They didn't come close to getting to Penix last week. Penix had a clean pocket. Penix had all the time to throw throughout that football game. So this is going to be the matchup. Michigan maybe wins this matchup, but I'm going to have to see it before I believe it. Because when I look at it, Alabama had issues all year keeping their quarterback upright. Washington didn't have those issues. So is Michigan's defense great up front at getting to the quarterback? Or did they really just, feast on a team that's had problems in pass protection all season long? Alabama. And let's be real. Michigan shouldn't really, you can make a case they shouldn't be here right now. Like Alabama was this close to putting that game away last week. And they didn't. They had the fumble. They had opportunities. They settled for a field goal from their great kicker, Reichard, to go up 6. And they were a 4th down stop, with Michigan in their own side of the field from winning that game and being in this game instead of Michigan. But instead, 4th and 2, they converted. And then the next thing Michigan ties it up. They win in overtime. That's how quickly it can swing. But Michigan made mistakes galore, penalties. Special teams was awful. Let's not forget that. Gross, this kicker for Washington, is outstanding. He's as good as it gets. And this kicker for Michigan is a worry after what I saw against Alabama. Don't forget about special teams in this game. Washington, to me, has the edge in that department here going into this game. So I've been on Washington all year in these spots. these big games, when they've been disrespected as an underdog, except that one time, and it was when I was on this show and before the Pac-12 championship game, and I feel like such a fool for taking Oregon in that Pac-12 championship game and going against what I had done all year, taking Washington when they've been disrespected as underdogs, and they've been perfect as underdogs this year. I was on Washington in the semifinal last week against Texas. You know what I'm doing here. We're back to the Huskies here in this game. I like Washington. I think it's going to be a challenge for Michigan to win this game at all, let alone win by margin. They'll be able to run on Washington. That does concern me. But hell, Washington's given up tons of plays on the ground all year, and they still find ways to win games, just like last week against Texas. So, I like this number again with Washington. Whether the public's on them or not on them, all I know is that when Washington has been in this underdog price point all season long, they've been just cashing tickets left and right. So there's actually a minus at ProLine Plus. There's plus 5.5 right now with Washington. Plus 5.5, minus 120 with the Washington Huskies. So I'm going to grab that for an official play. I lean to the over with this total, but I think I'm going to not make that official. But here's what I see with the total here. I see both teams having offensive advantages. I think Washington's going to be able to throw on this Michigan defense because this Michigan secondary has not seen any quarterback close to Penix Jr. this year. Not even close. What's the best quarterback they've played? McCord for Ohio State? Maybe Milroe last week? Penix puts those two guys, to shame as far as I'm concerned at the quarterback spot. And so that is going to be, to me, the challenge. And I'm not sure they hold up against these great physical, great hands, great speed receivers that Washington has, in my opinion. So I think Washington can throw the football on Michigan's defense. So it tells me they should have the offensive edge. On the flip side, I think Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards will be able to run the football all day long against Washington's defense. And the only concern I have with the over is I don't have concerns with Washington. Washington's a quick strike offense. They can score in 3 minutes. They can have a 3-minute scoring drive. What concerns me about Michigan is if they're not ripping off these 30, 40, 50-yard gains, and they're nickel and diming Washington with the run game, with the 5-yard gains and the 6-yard gains and the 8-yard gains and the 4-yard gains, and it's a methodical matriculation of the football down the field. A Michigan offensive possession can last 7-8 minutes. And from an over standpoint, that's not what you want to see. So that's the thing that's holding me up. I think if Washington's going to be able to move the ball and put points on the board, and we know they can do it fast, quick strike, quick drives, a couple minutes off the clock. Michigan, unless they rip off 50-yard gains here, there, and everywhere, a lot of their scoring drives are methodical, 5, 6, 7, 8-minute drives. And that's not great for over, especially when you're talking about a total that's now in the high 50s. It's now up to 56. So I think both teams have offensive advantages, but I'm just worried about that the slow, plodding way that Michigan particularly moves the ball could hurt it. But I do lean over the total. For now, I will just make Washington official, plus 5.5.
I love it. I love the breakdown. I love everybody in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't get to highlight everybody's action in the chat. I did my best to. I love it. I love it. So that confirms everything for me. I'm just thinking of only betting the first half under.
I agree with you fully on that premise. If you like the under, bet the first half, either solely the first half or at least a bigger percentage of the bet on the first half. Because if you go back and look at national championship games past, we've seen explosions in the second half. I remember a couple of those Clemson national championship games where it started off slow and then it just exploded with points, and more points after halftime. And that's not always what you want when you're holding an under ticket.
And I didn't want that involved with my SGP. I don't want all my eggs in one basket in this national championship that we're going to have so much fun watching. I want to have separate action here. So I like it. Bobano on the Huskies plus 5.5. I know that there are a lot of people who believe in Michigan out there, and you have every right to. They're the complete package. They're a great football team. And
McCarthy does have to play better, though. They got away with him playing an okay game, a good game. Like, he had a great drive to lead him down the field. That was great. Overtime, they scored to win the game. But I thought for 3.5 quarters, he was okay. Wasn't great in that game. He's going to have to step it up here because he's got a great quarterback on the other side he's up against.
I imagine that it was a huge confidence builder. The huge.
But when the game was on the line, they needed to tie that game. He did, and he was great. He was great on that drive.
Everything he needed to.
4 great quarters here. The whole game's got to be great. You can't just be up and down like he was. Yep.
I can't wait for it. Join us right after last call right here Monday. Bobano will be with us. He'll be with us pregame. We're going to have Big Ragu. We're going to have a bunch of cappers who are giving us their action pregame. It's not going to be overwhelming. We're not going to have 10 guys on screen. We want to make money first and foremost, and then have a great time while we do it.
Even though I'm watching, I like McCarthy. He's a good kid, and he's a former hockey player, and he's a big hockey fan. Can't hate that.
I can't hate that. That is our breakdown for the final college football game of the year. What a season it's been in college football, and next year will be even more enjoyable. So thank you guys for supporting our Hitting the Books show starring Bobano and Connor Mack. It was a huge hit, and we can't wait to have it back in action next year. So thank you all for supporting our big college football show, and I can't wait for Monday night. It is time to move into college basketball, so let's head over there right now. We have 10 games on the college basketball slate here, and we begin with UConn and Butler. Let's touch on the records right now. Bobano, you are sitting here on the show. Sorry, let's get this up here. 31-31. Last Friday, you went 6-4 plus 1.3 units. On the year, your average line's minus 115. I've back checked this too. That's a little deeper. Your money line spots, you weren't as adamant about. And I'm very curious. I'll be tracking those independently to see if that's going to work out for you, because we've seen it work out for you in NFL. Not bothering with the 1.5 and the 2.5s, but taking the minus 130s, minus one up to about minus 142 is usually around your limit. And I'm not sure if it's going to work here, so I'm tracking it very closely. I've got a couple things to set up here. So while I do, can you touch, Bobano, on, and we'll come right back to this UConn Butler opener. Can you touch on how college basketball was for you last night? And I'll be right back.
Yeah, last night I was up and down actually last night. I've had a great season overall, really good. But last night was kind of up and down, kind of disappointed. Penn State disappointed me, man. What the fuck? Getting just absolutely destroyed like that. Michigan State's capable of that. We know what they did against Baylor earlier this year, but I thought more was we were going to get better than that from them. It was kind of up and down. I think it was down about, 0.8 units, something like that last night in college basketball. So it wasn't one of my better nights. It's been a good season, really good, but last night was not one of the better nights. But we got today to make up for it. UConn Butler, as far as this game goes, Jimmy.
Wait, hold off, because we're going to cut this out. We're going to cut this out. So hold up here. We're going to cut out our college basketball today. So we'll start again from the top. I just want to have everything set up here to discuss the situation, and then we will roll into it. Here we go. And let's get into NCAAB and the notes. And okay. All right. So here we go. Let's get this up. All right. It is time. And thank you guys for joining us here. Friday, January 5th, Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. We begin with our college basketball breakdown. We start with a beauty. 10 games on the card. We'll break them all down here. We start with the UConn Huskies, 12-2, 2-1 in the Big East. At the Butler Bulldogs, 10-4, 1-2 in the Big East. Not a great start in conference for Butler. We're in Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. The Huskies bounced back from that 15-point loss at Seton Hall by just barely getting past St. John's at home, but then they beat up on DePaul comfortably by 29. That was on Tuesday. So Tuesday they beat DePaul. Butler went to St. John's and lost 86-70. Back-to-back losses. They lose at Providence in overtime just before Christmas. And then they come back and don't look good at St. John's on Tuesday. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We are sitting here with, and again, we're going to use Bet Online openers. For those of you looking for a Bet Online account, if you go to our website, pubsportsradio.com, and hit the link, they will give you 100% bonus up to $1,000, and it doesn't have to be Bitcoin only, which is a real benefit for us here. So this opens up with UConn minus 6.5, and the line moves towards Butler. Got all the way down to 4.5 until we're back at a 5. So we have a little bit of buyback, but still a 1.5 move towards Butler. From a total perspective, we are sitting here at 5. And this, shoot, sorry, that's what am I talking about? That's still the spread. My bad. From a total perspective here, we're sitting at a 143. This opened up at 144.5. It was at 144.5 until about an hour and 15 minutes ago. Then there was a big 1.5 point drop towards the under. So that's what we're seeing. So we have a move to the under and a move to Butler. When we get to the cash flow here, 47% of the tickets and 57% of the cash is on Butler. 41% of the tickets and 60% of cash is on the under. Take it away. Big East action to get the show started here. Bobano, UConn, Butler.
Yeah, this is a fascinating game. To me, this price, all things equal, would be very cheap for UConn. And I think they're the much better of these two teams. I don't like anything about Butler, but I can't get that game out of my mind where UConn went to Seton Hall. They got blasted. So on the road, that last time they played away from home here in the Big East, it was ugly for UConn. That loss, 75-60 in that one to Seton Hall as 8-point favorites. They bounced back since then with 2 home wins. I feel like I want to be on UConn, but I'm not so sure. Donovan Klingen's out again, so Samson Johnson's going to take his spot again as the starting center for this game. I just don't like Butler right now. I don't like what I'm seeing. They beat Georgetown 74-64. They've been brutal ATS too. 0-5 against the number of their last 5 games. On the road at Providence and St. John's, they lost both of those by double digits. Now again at home, they've been certainly better. They're 8-0 straight up on their home floor. That's something to keep in mind. UConn 0-2 straight up in two true home road games this year. That's another thing you have to factor in. But my goodness, I've seen this before with where it feels like it's cheap with the one team and the home underdog comes through. Now that didn't happen with Maryland. I actually liked Maryland the other night against Purdue, and we didn't. And they got blasted. So UConn could go in there and roll them because Purdue did that to Maryland the other night. And I do think there's a lot of matchup advantages. Butler's defense, I think, is going to struggle on the behind the arc to stop UConn, who's got multiple shooters. Even without Klingen, they're struggling with rebounding. Butler, that could be still a bit of a problem here against this UConn team. I think when you look at UConn, they had a couple of woeful defensive or offensive games by their standards. The last 2, they got back on track against DePaul. Butler's not really defending at any sort of high level, and their games are going into the 150s and the 160s for the most part here these last few games. Some really ugly defensive numbers from this Butler Bulldogs team. So someone in the chat is touting the over, and that's my play here in this game. I like it. I think the over is the look here. I think UConn can score enough. And the thing without Klingen is that UConn does play a little smaller lineup, a little faster pace. You're seeing that since he's been absent. A little defensive presence is lost as well without Klingen around the rim and in the paint as a rim protector. So I'm going to grab this over here. You can get it at 142 at Pinnacle actually right now. That's what I'm going to roll with for my play here. Butler UConn over 142 minus 112.
You got it over 142 at minus 112. My issue here is that, there's some pretty legit sharp action moving this line towards Butler. We're seeing with a 50-50 ticket count, the line moving. It had moved up to 2 points at some books. My problem is UConn's played 2 road games, real road games. They lost to Kansas by 4 points. They weren't scared in Kansas. They stepped up. And then we have the debacle last week.
And let's not forget last year with Danny Hurley's team on the Big East road. They weren't great. They got into Big East play. They started to falter. They started to stumble after this red-hot non-conference season, and especially on the road, they were vulnerable. So that's enough to worry me off of UConn tonight.
I agree. There are some difference. They were undefeated, right, going into Big East play last year. Here they have those couple else. My uncomfort is that what a perfect coaching situation. When you have yet to win on the road, you remember what happened last year in Big East play. You could even, from a coach, look, the line's moving towards Butler. They don't think you can win on the road. I mean, it's too perfect of a coaching situation to get in their faces and say, you step up against a weak team right now and you show the world that you can win on the road. You can win in tough situations. But I'm not going to disrespect this market move towards Butler. That's going to keep me off, but not Bobano. He is on the over 142 at minus 112. Let's move on to our next spot on the board. And we have our guy, Jose, back in business. Great to have you, Jose. That takes the pressure off me. Thank you for rushing back for us. 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the Niagara Purple Eagles, 4-8, 0-2 in the Metro Atlantic. At the Manhattan Jaspers, 4-7, 1-1 in conference play. We're in Dratty Gymnasium in Riverdale, New York. From a rest situation, both teams have played since the Christmas break. We saw Niagara last Friday at Buffalo win 69-63 to snap a 2-game losing streak. They did that on the road. They didn't shoot very well and still took care of business as 3.5-point dogs. A nice way to end or come back from the Christmas trip. It wasn't a real road trip because they went, some of them went home for Christmas. Manhattan is in the throes of a 4-game losing streak. We last saw them on Saturday. They got badly beaten by Wagner. They shot 27% from three, 33.9% from the field. We're getting used to that with these Jaspers. They were 2.5-point favorites, and they lost at home badly. That's the situation. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Manhattan plus 2.5. They opened up at +1. So we have a point, and then they got up to 3. There was a 2-point move, and there's been a little bit of buyback. So we have a legit move towards Niagara. And then from a total standpoint here, we're sitting at 139. This opened up at 140.5, dropped down to 139.5, then shot up and back down. This got as low as 138.5. Some confusion around where this line should be. So the total has dropped 1.5 right now at Bet Online, and we've moved in in Niagara's direction. So for the total, 32% of the tickets and 52% of the cash is on the over. We've seen U-shaped movement on it. 80% of the tickets and 90% of the cash is on Manhattan at home, and the line is moving against them. Take it away for us here, Bobano, a little Metro Atlantic action in Riverdale, New York.
I think the money's moving against Manhattan for good reason. Niagara's picking their game up lately, and I've cashed with Niagara a couple of times. They've Greg Paulus, of course, the longtime Duke player. He's been the coach now here for a couple of years. I'm seeing improvement with this team from Niagara. They've covered 4 straight entering this matchup. They had a win against New Jersey, IT. Binghamton they covered in defeat. I thought a pretty good effort against Syracuse, wire-to-wire point spread cover against the Orange. A nice win outright as underdogs against Buffalo, 69-63 in their last game. I like the way Niagara's trending. They've done well against Manhattan in recent head-to-head meetings. 3 of the last 4, Niagara's won and covered head-to-head against Manhattan going into this game. They've improved a little bit too defensively. Now, defensively, it's been hit or miss for them, but they've had some better efforts defensively. It's not like Manhattan's going to scare them with offense. I mean, 349 in the country with field goal percentage. They struggle at times to make shots consistently. That's concerning. So I don't know if they can take advantage of the inconsistency that we often see from Niagara, at the defensive end of the court. Like I said, Niagara's a pretty good offensive team here, and Manhattan's given up 45.6% field goal percentage, 35% from three-point range. Those aren't exactly the numbers that you want to see necessarily going into this matchup here. And like I said, with this Metro Atlantic, now Metro Atlantic Conference historically, I love usually looking at the road underdogs. Okay, the road underdogs are excellent. Now, this is a slight road favorite here with Niagara in this game, but this is one of those conferences where the road team often can do pretty well. And what I'm seeing here from Niagara is a positive trajectory. I'm seeing a Manhattan team that has lost, 5 of their last, 6 of their last 7 games. And, they get destroyed by Fordham. Marist pummels them 70-56. A Fairleigh Dickinson team that's not great this year, and they lose by 5. They did get a cover against Monmouth, but barely. And then they were 2.5-point home favorites before New Year's against Wagner, and they get beaten by 12. So this is a Manhattan team not playing good basketball. Now, you could say back home conference play, circle the wagon spot, bounce back spot. But if you're betting current form, you're looking at Niagara. And for me, the current form will override, just hoping Manhattan turns it around here. So, and again, 3 of the last 4, Niagara's won and covered in this series. So for me, this is Niagara on the money line. I've already bet it, and I'm going to go with the current number at -140 at Bet365.
Niagara -140. 40. I find it fascinating that all this money's on Manhattan and the line's moving towards Niagara. That tells me that Niagara's the play. I'm going to have to look into this more. I'm surprised, though, by this market here. Dabby Cab here, UConn first half, says, I understand why people would look at Butler coming off 2 road losses, but their defense is going to hold up. Dabby, if you think their defense is going to hold up, wouldn't you want them full game to get that full 40? But I understand.
He's a first half guy, though, Dabby, as we know. So that's a big part of it.
No doubt. But I mean, if we think their defense is going to slowly break down, I was just thinking that maybe it's a double up spot then. But I got that copied and pasted, Dabby. Thank you for sharing that with us. Christoph Kragowski says, 1 team win, 1 team lose. Understand or no understand? We understand. That's sports. 1 team win, 1 team lose. Beautifully put, succinctly put, Christoph. Let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Fairfield Stags 7-6, 1-1 in the Metro Atlantic. Move over here. Wow. Did I really do that? It looks like I have. Oh, no, I did. Okay, perfect. Here we go. Fairfield Stags 7-6, 1-1 in the Metro Atlantic at Siena Saints 2-11, 1-1. Also in conference, we're in Albany, New York. From a rest situation, both teams played on Saturday. Fairfield's been winning and winning. The big win just before Christmas over Fairleigh Dickinson. They went in there and into Teaneck and trashed them. They were 2.5-point favorites. They were up 56-26 at the half. A Fairfield team that's locked in. They have the Christmas break. Then they come back. And then they face, Lemoyne, and they beat Lemoyne, badly. So this is a team that's running, actually, 78-72. I guess I shouldn't say badly. Let's see exactly what the spread there. Fairfield was 9.5-point favorite, so they didn't even cover. So maybe I take that back. So maybe they did look a little sloppy off of the break, but they got that game in. On the other side of the situation here for Siena. Sorry, let me move back here. Siena also played on Saturday. Sorry about that. Here we go. Also played on Saturday, and it's part of this losing streak that they're on. This team is not looking good and not winning basketball games. They won their first game of the year against Holy Cross. Since then, they have lost 11 of 12 basketball games. They're coming off losing at UMass by 13. They were 17.5-point dogs, and they were down 9 at the break. They didn't play too badly. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. From a total standpoint, we are sitting here at 141. This opened up at 136.5. We have a huge move towards this over. There was a 1.5 move towards the over in the first 11 minutes this was out. Right now we're sitting at a 4.5-point move towards the over, just a monster move towards the over. And from a spread perspective, we're sitting here with Fairfield -4.5. Fairfield opened up at -6. Fairfield went to -7.5 when they did that move to the over. They also moved Fairfield to -7.5. Since then, it's been all Siena all the time. Cash flow wise here, you have 14% of the tickets and 12% of the cash on Siena. That's it. And this market's moving towards them. That's wild. 55% of the tickets, 79% cash on the over. This is wild. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Fairfield, Siena.
Yeah, and I'm on both of them. I'm on Siena and the over already. I'm in full agreement with these moves. I totally agree. Siena's a classic case of this team sucked for so long. They were so bad for so long throughout the early course of the season, and they were brutal. Like, they were getting ripped. Mount St. Mary's, Bryant, St. Bonaventure, Cornell. This team couldn't even stay close to teams early in the season. No defense whatsoever. Now, all of a sudden, 2 games in a row, they were so devalued in the betting markets during this bad November, bad much of December. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 games, look what we see. Brown, 9.5-point dogs. They lose by 4. UMass, 17.5-point dogs. By the way, a UMass team that destroyed a very good Duquesne team earlier this week. Siena stuck within 13 points of them and covered the number. So here you go. You've got a Siena team that after all the struggles, now there's value. And now they're 2-0 ATS because everybody's seen how bad they were. And now people all of a sudden, we're seeing them start to play a little bit better. And the betting markets are struggling to catch up to Siena's, market improvement. And now they're in conference play, where there's familiarity. And I think that's probably even more good news for Siena going into this game. Now, Fairfield's playing really well. It's not easy to go against Fairfield. They've won 6 straight, 5-1 ATS in their last 5 games, including a nice road win at Yale. It was a pretty solid team. But this Siena team is, I made the commitment in the UMass game after they covered against Brown. I'm like, team's been so bad, but they covered against a solid team out of the Ivy League. That's a big number against UMass. I'm going to take them. Let's see if they can compete. And they did. And that was a single-digit game for much of it. Siena was right in that game. So this is a team that's starting to play better. They're not good defensively, but at least they played a little bit better. But offensively, they can be capable here. The one thing about Fairfield is they're going to play with pace. Their defense is going to come and go. That much we know. And I think it's an opportunity for Siena, even though their full season numbers offensively are terrible. Their recent offensive numbers have been a little bit better. They'll be able to score here. And another reason why I like the over is because we know Siena's defense is struggling. We know Fairfield is going to play with pace. Another thing, too, Siena has struggled with turning over the basketball, and that is sometimes something that can hurt you a little bit and certainly help if you like the over. So I'm on both the side and the total here. Now, unfortunately, the numbers moved quite a bit here on Siena. So I'm going to have to see what the best number is right now. As far as the total, we will lock in over 141, minus 115 at DraftKings. That looks to be the best number out there right now as far as the total in this game. And for Siena, we will go with Siena plus 5, minus 125 at Pinnacle.
You got them both locked in. I'm going to join you on Siena in this one. Fairfield, Siena. We stay in the Metro Atlantic. Next up, 7 p.m. Eastern, Canisius Golden Griffins, 6-6, 1-1 in conference at Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers. We're in Emmitsburg for this one. Let's start with the line history. This opened up at 146. We've dropped down to 144.5. This actually moved to 146.5 initially, and it's got down all the way to 143.5. So it had a little bit of buyback about 45 minutes ago, but a pretty legit move to the under. From a spread spot, Mount St. Mary's opening up at -3 yesterday. Bet online, 1:17 p.m. Bet online first out to the market. And there's been a half-point move towards Canisius. Canisius gone from 3 to +2.5, and that move was at 9:51 this morning. So it took a long time for there to be any kind of move. From a cash flow standpoint, 53% of the tickets and 83% of the cash are on St. Mary's. A lot of money on St. Mary's for the line not to be moving towards them. Then 72% of the tickets and 76% cash on the under, and we've seen that big move to the under. From a rest situation, we have not seen Canisius since before Christmas. Canisius has been off for a long time. Mount St. Mary's got a game in on the road at Delaware State. They lost 77-73 in this one, and they were, decent for coming off the break, 45.2% from the field. They were 4.5-point favorites, though, and lost by 4. Interesting. No games for these Golden Griffins in a long time. Take it away for us here. We're not Arena Bobano. Floor is yours.
Yeah, you're right about that. A little break in the schedule here. So is it rest or rust? It's always the great argument when you're talking about these kind of situations here. Look, Canisius, neither of these teams are great. I mean, Canisius is 6-6. Mount St. Mary's is only 5-8. Mount St. Mary's, Delaware State's not a great team, and 4.5-point road favorites there at Delaware State. They lost outright in the last game. We'll see how they fare here in this one, Mount St. Mary's. But one thing about Mount St. Mary's, they're a good offensive team. There's no question. 46.8% from the field. They've been pretty good as far as offense is concerned, but Canisius defensively, they can struggle there a little bit. Both of these teams, quite honestly, better offensively than they are defensively. That's something you want to point out there going into this game. Canisius actually pretty good on the road so far this year, 3-1-1 ATS in true road games. You look at series history with these two teams, and Mount St. Mary's just joined this conference, by the way, last year. So this is only their second year in the Metro Atlantic. Mount St. Mary's has won all 3, but you're talking about a 4-point win, a 1-point win, and then a 1-point overtime win. So, they've all been very, very close games going into this matchup tonight with Canisius and with St. Mary's. I happen to think that the break here for Canisius might actually be a pretty good thing. Like I say, on the road, they've been capable. They went to Western Kentucky. They won outright. At Pittsburgh, December the 9th, they were 18-point dogs, stuck inside the number there, which you like to see. By the way, Mount St. Mary's 6 straight overs. So this is also one total where I'm a little perplexed why there's been some under movement in this game. I don't agree with that. I think I think both of these teams are certainly better, offensively than they are at the defensive end of the court. Certainly more consistent in that regard. So this is another one, Jimmy. Like I say, I'm not shy, especially when it comes to the Metro Atlantic, about higher volume, especially on these Friday nights. I think there's offensive advantages for both teams. Canisius is a great 3-point shooting team. Mount St. Mary's is not great, as good apparently at 3-point defense. I think on the flip side too, the strength for Mount St. Mary's is scoring inside the paint, where they're very good. Canisius has trouble around the rim as far as 2-point defense, 278 in the country. So I think both teams have pathways to offensive advantages here in this matchup tonight. So I definitely like the over here, Canisius, Mount St. Mary's. We can get it at over 144.5, minus 110 at DraftKings. And I'm also going to take Canisius here as a slight road dog. You know me in this conference with the road underdogs, and we've done a lot of Friday nights here on this show talking about the Metro Atlantic and how it's very road team heavy and especially road dog heavy. I know Mount St. Mary's has won 3 straight over Canisius since they've joined the Metro. None of those wins by more than 4 points. None of them. And 2 of them were by exactly 1 point. I think the rest is good for Canisius. They're a good team ATS on the road this year. They've proven that. So I like Canisius +3, minus 116 at Pinnacle.
You got it. You are locked in. You have the over 144.5, minus 110, and Canisius +3 at minus 116. Joe T's model also likes that over in Canisius and Mount St. Mary's, and we've been watching Joe T.
And 6 straight overs for the Mount coming into this game tonight.
We roll on to the next spot on the board, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we head to the MAC. Miami of Ohio Redhawks, 6-7, 0-1 in conference at the Toledo Rockets, a high-flying Toledo Rockets, 7-6, 1-0. We're in Savage Arena in Toledo, Ohio. These Redhawks had a Div 3 warm-up after Christmas. Then they lost at home to Western Michigan, 83-74. That was on Tuesday. That was on Tuesday. They were 4.5-point favorites at home. They did not look good. They lose to Western Michigan. West Michigan shot 23.8% from 3. It was the boards. They got outboarded 40-27 and lost as favorites. A pretty ugly performance here. And then we had Toledo. Toledo. A couple tough games. They play Vermont, at home. They get destroyed by 26. They go to West Virginia and they lose by 10. And then they head to Ohio and they take out the Bobcats by 9 as 1.5-point dogs. It was a nice bounce back spot for them. They shot 56.9% from the field and 38.5% from 3. And now we're sitting here as Now we're sitting here as huge favorites. Toledo sitting here at minus 12. They opened up at minus 11.5. They went up to 12.5 now. They're sitting at 12. There's been no movement Bet Online on this game since 10 o'clock last night. From a total perspective, we are sitting here at 158.5. That's exactly where it opened. We dropped a little bit, and we've now bounced back. And then cash flow wise, 39% of the tickets and 62% of the cash is on Miami of Ohio. We've just seen a slight move towards Toledo. And total wise, you have 40% of the tickets and 43% of the cash on the over, and it's exactly where it opened. Take it away for us here, Redhawks, Rockets.
Yeah, shocker. Ian likes another over. But this one is one where you don't overthink it. You don't overcomplicate it. These are 2 teams that are going to run. They push pace. Both teams are a lot better offensively than they are defensively, especially Toledo. Miami O is not a good defensive team either. So I see both teams getting their share of baskets. You're going to see up and down basketball for 40 minutes. Over 156.5, minus 112 for me at Bet Victor with this total. So you can get a really good number there. That's why it's good to have BetStamp, and it's good to have multiple accounts, because especially when you're doing this show and we can only go with the numbers that are available at this moment in time, and you've got books that are often going to give you a half a point or a point better than a lot of the other ones do. So, yeah, over 156.5. Miami O has been an over machine. They both have, but Miami O, in their last 5 line games, they've all gone over the total. And in the last few, we saw Western Michigan get to 157. We saw their game against Wright State get into the 170s. We just saw in MAC play Toledo and Ohio the other night, a few nights ago, go into the 160s, 163 points in that game, went over the total. Toledo's gone over in 4 of their last 5 games. So bottom line is points, and more points for me here.
What was the juice on that over 156.5?
Minus 112.
Minus 112 locked in for Miami, Toledo. Let's move back to the Metro Atlantic. We have 7:30 p.m. action here. Rider Bronx 3-10, 0-2 in conference at Quinnipiac Bobcats 9-4, 1-1 in conference. We're in Hamden, Connecticut for this one. Now, last Friday at the end of the show, Bobano said, no, look, I've got 2 more spots that we didn't talk about that I want to give you. They were 2 overs, and they both cashed very easily. I love that you were adamant about giving it out to everybody.
I know one of them was, I think, Illinois State and Kentucky, and I know that flew over the total. So, yeah, it was good.
The other one flew over the total as well, and it was these Rider Bronx and Penn State. Rider Bronx, Penn State over 144.5, and that also flew over the total. So we're back with more Rider action. That was the last game that Rider played at Penn State. They lost 90-63. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Quinnipiac played on Saturday, and they went down to Florida. That's not an easy game for them. They got crushed in the first half, 52-29. You know, they only shot 22.7 from 3 and 33.3% from the field, 20.5 point dogs, and they lost by 25. That was Quinnipiac's last game. This should probably set them up nice here as we move forward. Let's talk about the total. The total sitting at 150. It opened up at 149. It dropped to 148.5 before climbing up to 150. And then let's talk about the spread here. The spread is Quinnipiac as 4.5 point favorites. They opened up at 4 yesterday, 117. Within an hour and a half, they were up to 5. Then there was buyback all the way down to 3.5. That all took place yesterday afternoon. It didn't move until this morning when it's gone to -4 to Quinnipiac and then to -4.5. So we have a very slight half point move towards Quinnipiac. 42% of the tickets and 61% of the cash is on Rider. 67% of the tickets and 96% of the cash is on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. We're back in the Metro Atlantic for the Bronx and the Bobcats.
Yeah, this is a game where, you know how I love my road underdogs in the Metro Atlantic. Not this road underdog. It's been rough for Rider. 2-8 straight up, 2-8 against the spread their last 10 games. It hasn't been good at all. They got blown out by Penn State, obviously, which is the game I had the over last week. Penn before that, they give up 70. That's the issue for Rider. They're not playing any defense right now. It's just been really poor for them, at the defensive end of the basketball court. They've fallen all the way to 286 now as far as defensive efficiency in the country. That's not what you want to see. Quinnipiac, a very good offensive team, and I think you're going to see that come out here in this game and show it to be the case once again. Rider, at times can struggle a bit too as far as defense is concerned. This will be a fascinating matchup because we've seen certainly Quinnipiac trend under, believe it or not, even though they're a good offensive team and even though they play at a relatively brisk pace, and that's because their defense has come a long way. So the question is going to be, will Rider be able to score enough against this team? We've actually seen 3 of the last 4 meetings go under. Quinnipiac has dominated this head-to-head series, 8-2 straight up the last 10 head-to-head meetings, 7-2-1 against the spread in the last 10 head-to-head meetings, 6 straight wins, 5-1. 5-0-1, or no, it is 5-1 because Rider did get 1 cover, and that was at Quinnipiac last year with a 2-point loss in overtime, and Rider was plus 2.5 in that game. But other than that, this has been all one-sided toward Quinnipiac here, and I like Quinnipiac here. Laying a short number, I think they get the job done. Rider's not in good form, and Rider's not defending, and the thing is with some of these teams I'm backing on the road. And just in general, I want my defense and teams that are going to guard their man and contest shots, and not seeing enough of that right now. from this struggling Rider team. So we're going to roll with Quinnipiac here, -3.5, -115 at FanDuel.
You got it locked in. Quinnipiac -3.5, -115 for Bobano. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. We stay in the Metro Atlantic, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Iona Gales, 6-7, 1-1 in conference at St. Peter's Peacock, 6-5, 2-0 in conference. We're in the Yanatelli Center in New Jersey. There's our guy BJ in the house. What up, Scott Young as well? BJ, great cash on the Warriors last night. What a wildly exciting basketball game that was. Let me get this here. So Pelicans for BJ, max bet on the Pelicans, or I should say 5-unit bet, not max, because we've seen him go bigger than that. But let's lock that in. Clippers, Pelicans, Smoothie King, BJ moving on the Pelicanos. Thank you for sharing that with us. Let's get back here to our college basketball breakdowns. Iona Gales at the Ye-O Peacocks. Take a look at the rest situation here. Iona just won at Harvard, 69-60. They've won 3 of 4. You take out that game versus St. Joe's, and they've been really good this year. For St. Peter's, they have won 3 straight basketball games. They're coming off a 67-58 win at Bucknell on Saturday. They shot 42.9% from 3. They'll deliver in those situations. They also, out-rebounded the Bison. They were 1.5-point favorites, and they dominated the second half, 39-25. That's the situation for these Peacocks. Let's take a look at the line history here. From a total scenario, we know if the Peacocks are playing, it's going to be a low total. This opened up at 127.5, and it's gone to 128. But this initially dropped all the way down to 125.5. I guess some sharps thought that was too low of a move. Then from a spread perspective, Iona opened up at -2. About 3 hours later, yesterday afternoon, they moved to 2.5, and there's been no movement since. So Iona now 2.5-point favorites. When we get to the cash flow here for this one, we have 64% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on Iona. We have a 0.5-point move towards them. Then 38% of tickets and 93% cash on the under, and we've seen this U-shaped movement back to the over. Take it away for us here, Gales, Peacocks, Bobano.
Very fascinating matchup. Iona's not what they were under Rick Pitino, and this coach is a good coach here. They got him from Fairleigh Dickinson, and we know Fairleigh Dickinson had a little run in the tournament last year, but it's been tough sledding for Iona this year, big time. I mean, below 500. That being said, they've won 3 of the last 4. They beat a bad St. Francis PA team. They did get blown out by St. Joe's, who are a pretty good team. Beat Colgate by 20. Beat Harvard very impressively, actually, in their last game. So maybe Iona is turning a corner here. We'll have to wait and see on that. It's a fascinating clash of styles kind of matchup here when you look at these two teams. Iona, I think, wants to play fast, but they have slowed it down a bit, and I think they've slowed it down a bit because they've struggled a lot offensively, especially earlier in the season. But I think all things considered is that if they have more confidence in their offense, I think they would obviously want to start running a bit more than they have. The question is here, I kind of think there is value with the over because I start to see Iona's offense trending up a little bit at least, the last few games. So I could see that. Now it's in the 120s because you know what you're going to get. From St. Peter's. They are a slow as a snail pace team, 358 tempo. Not a great offensive team, 331. That is why this total is so low. But when you look at St. Peter's, a lot of the games earlier in the season, they had a 40-point output. You had a 54-point output, 59 against Duquesne. But the last 3 games, it's the 66 against UMBC. The last game against Bucknell, they scored 67. That's an offensive explosion for St. Peter's when they're getting 67 points in a game. So, you are starting to see, a little bit better offensive upside from them. And if you actually look at their numbers, the last 5 games, their numbers offensively, you just have this stat that can skew it to the last 5 games. They've been a little better. So in this game here, I actually like St. Peter's a little bit here, +2.5 home dogs. They've been covering numbers lately. I think there's a good chance that can continue here tonight. +2.5 with St. Peter's is -110 at Bet365. And I'm also going to grab over 127.5 in this game, -110 at Proline Plus.
over 127.5 at minus 110. And St. Peter's for Bobano. I'm interested in St. Peter's. At this point, the only bet I know I'm making of these early games is Siena, but I'm interested in joining you on with St. Peter's. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that one. Bobano also on the over 127.
St. Peter's been a great dog for years and a great conference dog for years as well in this Metro Atlantic.
Yeah, no doubt. I like the look. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on it. Let's get to the big one. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, the number 9 ranked Illinois Fighting Illini, 11-2, undefeated in Big Ten play. Now they've only played twice at the number 1 ranked Purdue Boilermakers from West Lafayette, Indiana, Mackey Arena for this one. The Boilermakers are 2-1 in conference, coming off a 67-53 win at Maryland on Tuesday night. It was impressive. They were 6.5-point favorites. They held Maryland to 19 first half points, held Maryland to 33.3% from the field and 22.7% from three. So the Boilermakers are playing good basketball. So are Illinois. They've been smash and grabbing everybody since that 7-point loss to Tennessee. They beat Colgate by 17 at home. Then they beat Missouri by 24 at home. They beat Fairleigh Dickinson by 33 at home. Then they beat Northwestern by 30 at home on Tuesday. 30-point win over Northwestern, and they were just 5.5-point favorites. They were very, very good. 62.5% from the field and 55.6% from three. Let's just take a look at how consistent they've been from three here. See if there was an outlier performance, against Northwestern. And I don't think we're going to find that. So 62-55 against Fairleigh Dickinson, 52-40.6 from three. So that's maybe more around their, average, their season-long average. Against Missouri, 49.2 and 33.3% from three. What you're seeing is that they don't need to shoot the lights out to beat a team by margin. Against Colgate, they shot just 41.8 and 34.8% from three. Now, obviously, this is a big step up in competition. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Illinois right now as 10.5-point dogs. They opened up at 10. They dropped down to They opened up at 10.5. They dropped down to 10 this morning. So there was no movement. That 10.5 was considered a very sharp line. There was no movement for 18 hours, and then it moved to 10 and then right back to 10.5 about 3.5 hours ago. So no movement there. From a total perspective here, Illinois, Purdue, we have a 151.5. This opened up at 157. We've dropped 5.5 points on this total. And then from a cash flow standpoint, 45% of the tickets, 48% of the cash on Illinois. That's why the line's not moving. It's a lot of 50-50 action here. Then 34% of tickets and 45% of cash on the under, and yet it's moved heavily. Saturated said might surprise some people, but this team might be better without Shannon. Take it away. And then Lucky Lefty says, my garbage ass Maryland. Yeah, they did not look good here. Ian Shaver says, double-digit dog on the road. He is on Illinois, but DC Capper's on Purdue, minus 10.5. Take it away for us here, Bobano. We're in the Mackey Arena for a big one. The Illini versus Boilermakers.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot here with Illinois. Plus and I don't normally go against Purdue at Mackey. Okay, we know this is a great home court. We know this is a great Purdue team, but I think we need to talk about what Illinois is doing. Illinois is playing some impressive basketball right now. They destroyed Iowa. They beat a very good Alabama team. They beat Arizona. I'm looking at the wrong team. That's Purdue. But, you look at what they did. They beat Missouri on the road. They crushed Northwestern recently. Rutgers on the road destroyed them. They did lose to Tennessee, but they were right in that game, a tough environment. I like what Illinois is doing. And look, I know Saturated knows this team well. He loves Illinois, but you're right. Without Terrence Shannon, it's not like they've skipped a beat. In fact, they've looked at with more chemistry, more cohesion at times on the basketball court without him. They got a wonderful performance. That kid they got in the transfer portal, Domask, I believe this guy was from Southern Illinois before, the Salukis. He's a great player. What a nice addition he's been for Illinois. He's been absolutely terrific. At the offensive end of the basketball court, had 32 points in the win against Northwestern the other night. Coleman Hawkins, Justin Harmon, another guy brought in, has done another transfer too. Quincy Guerrier, this guy was at Syracuse at one point. He's done a great job for Illinois. I mean, they're defending a little bit better now as well. So there's a lot to like. Now, you always have to contain Edey. If you're Purdue, you worry, or if you're Illinois, you're worried about that. But the guards for Purdue, they can come and go. They have some games where they are hitting their threes, and when they've got Edey down in the low post, and they've got the guards hitting threes, you can't beat Purdue when that happens. But you don't always get that kind of play, that level of play consistently from their backcourt. So that's going to be the key for Purdue, I think, moving forward. But I think with Illinois, they're on a torrid point spread streak. They've clearly been undervalued during this time. And I think with Purdue coming off the blowout road win against Maryland, and a bad Maryland team, I'm now convinced Maryland's just awful after what I saw from them against Purdue, that maybe they're just lulled into a false sense of security that's going to be just as easy here against Illinois. And if you look at the head-to-head recently, they did have a bad outing last year in Purdue, first time around, 84-68. But in the Big Ten tournament, they lost by 5. They also went to overtime in Champaign. Illinois gave Purdue some fits, and I think Illinois is capable of doing that here once again tonight as well. So we're going to lock it in here, plus 10.5, minus 105 at Score Bet Illinois.
You got it locked in. Illinois. A lot of love for Illinois in the chat. Justin McKelvey also on them. Lucky Lefty on Illinois. First half plus 6. Lex Steele on Illinois. Mike saying it's a buy low spot on Illinois. And Lucky Lefty getting angrier and angrier as he thinks about his Terps. Let's move on. We head back to the MAC. 9 p.m. Eastern. Return of the MAC. A little Craig Mack action for you. Bowling Green Falcons 10-3, 1-0 in conference at Akron Zips. 9-4, 1-0 in conference. We're at James A. Rhodes Arena in Akron, Ohio for this one. We have Bowling Green on a legit winning streak right now, coming off that overtime victory over Eastern Michigan. This is a squad that has now won 8 straight basketball games. Now, a couple of them were against non-Div 1 opponents, but they've been winning. They've been winning consistency. Lipscomb in there as well. Canisius against Eastern Michigan, they shot just 29.6% from 3, but it was enough to get the job done. Now, they were 10.5-point favorites, but the important part of that game was they were getting beaten bad. They were down 28-14 in that basketball game before the Falcons came back. So a winning streak here for these Falcons. On the other side of things here, Akron coming in off of a bounce-back spot. They lose. I mean, I guess it's not a bad one. I mean, they lose 62-61 to the Bonnies. Bonnies were 1.5-point favorites. Bonnies, decent basketball team. We saw that last night. But they come back and they beat up on Northern Illinois at Northern Illinois, beat them by 22. We're up 35-16 in the first half, held the Huskies to 18.2% from 3. They were 5.5-point favorites, and they comfortably took care of business. Let's take a look at the line history then for this one. From a line history standpoint, we have Akron is 9.5-point favorites. They opened up at 9, moved to 9.5 this morning, so a half-point move in their direction. And then from a total perspective, we are sitting here with a 141.5 at minus 105. This opened up at 137 and has been climbing, but it climbed even higher than this. This got up to 142 before there was a half point of buyback in the last couple hours. We have 16% of the tickets and 12% of the cash on Bowling Green. Nothing on Bowling Green. 84 and 88 on Akron, but the line's not really moving. Then we have 93% of tickets and 88% cash on the over. Should Akron be this big of a favorite against the Bowling Green team that's playing good basketball? Take it away, Bobano.
Well, you look at it, you're right. They are playing good basketball. There's no doubt. Akron has actually done well in this series history recently. They've won 4 straight. A couple of those were by double digits, but a couple of those were 7 points or less. And you're talking about a 9.5-point number here with this one, Bowling Green and Akron. Both meetings last year went up and over the total between these two teams. Actually, they just played once last year at Bowling Green, and it ended up going over the total. That's where I am with this game as far as rather than a side here. I do like this game over the total. We've seen Bowling Green last game against Eastern Michigan. They put 92 on the board but gave up 90. We'll see if that carries over to this one. Akron, you look at this team as well, always going to run a pretty, efficient offensive team, no question. And it's pretty much more of the same here. They're 50th in the country as far as effective field goal percentage. That's pretty good. 144 in offensive efficiency in the country. We'll see if that continues here in this one. Bowling Green will look to push some pace and push some tempo as well. We'll see if they can be successful with that here in this matchup. But definitely agree with this push toward over in this game. I certainly thought in the 130s, total seemed a little bit light here, especially for a Bowling Green game in particular. I think the side's tricky. I mean, Akron's won all 4 games. 2 of them were blowouts. 2 of them were single-digit margins. So I think you can make a case either way as far as the side goes in this game. But we're going to go with over the total. We've seen 3 straight head-to-head meetings go over between these 2 teams, and all 3 of those games got 2 of them into the 150s, and the one last year got to 144, which would certainly cash our over ticket tonight here in this game. So Bowling Green, Akron, over 141.5, minus 110 at Bet Rivers.
If you had a free $500 bet right now on the side at 9.5, who do you move on?
Bowling Green.
Yeah, I'm interested in Bowling Green. I don't know if I get to a window, but they've got some asterisks and a couple question marks beside it. Very interested. Bobano moves on the over 141.5, minus 110. We move on to our final college basketball spot on the board before we get into this enormous NBA slate with our guy LJ from HTown. 10:30 p.m. Eastern. We head to the Mountain West, where a friend of the show, DJ Big Boss, does it best. The Mountain West, baby. Let's get to work here. Boise State Broncos 9-4, opening up their Mountain West account at San Jose State Spartans 7-7. They've lost their first game in conference play. We're at the Provident Credit Union Event Center in San Jose, California. We have Boise State bouncing back from that home loss to Washington State by beating up on Utah Valley. Beat them up badly. Beat Utah Valley 85-63 by 22 points. Boise State was doing its thing, 55.4% from the field, 41.7% from 3, and completely out-rebounded the Wolverines 42-24. 10.5-point favorites, won by 22.5. It was a perfect spot for them. Perfect spot. You play a good team, you lose. You go up against a bad team, and you're sharp. The Spartans couldn't follow up that victory over Santa Clara 81-78. They fell at Wyoming 75-73. They, played decent. It's just Wyoming played very clean, only turned the ball over 5 times. Wyoming 5.5-point favorites, and San Jose State covered. So that's the situation. Rest-wise, that game against San Jose State game was on Tuesday. So Boise State hasn't played since Friday of last week. So Boise State's been off for a week. So Boise State's got a good week of practicing. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We'll start with this total. Total sitting at 139.5, opened up at 143, got up to 143.5 before it dropped, but it did drop. There has been a half point of buyback in the last little bit. And then point spread wise, we're sitting here with Boise State as 5.5-point road favorites. They opened up at 6, dropped to 5. Now a half point of buyback of 5.5. Let's get to the cash flow here. We have 57% of the tickets and 63% of the cash on Boise State. A market kind of staying flat right now. 79% of the tickets and 99% of the cash on the under. Very strange amount of money on the under. Joe T says that his model is another big over edge in Boise State, San Jose State. But he says these night games have been kicking his ass lately. We have not seen any evidence of that, Joe T. You've been crushing it, but interesting point, something we'll keep an eye out for. Take it away, Bobano. Our final game on the board. We head over to the Mountain West, late night, D-Gen action for us, Boise State, San Jose State.
Yeah, I'm on side and total here. First, I like San Jose State here. San Jose State's 2-0 as home dogs this year. And one game's outright, both of them against Cal Irvine. Now, Russell Turner's Cal Irvine team is very good. Okay, that's a very good team in that conference. So don't, downplay that win for San Jose State. It's a very good win. They beat Santa Clara as home underdogs as well. And for Boise State, and plus when you look at San Jose State, they had a rough patch. They lost to Cal Poly as favorites. They got blown out at Montana, lose to North Dakota State. And then they have the loss to Montana at home in the rematch. But since then, they've covered 2 in a row. Like I said, the home win is underdogs against Santa Clara at Wyoming. Tough place to play in the altitude, the thin air, the elevation. Lost by 2 as a 5.5-point dog. I like what San Jose State's been competitive for the most part this year. Tim Miles is doing a nice job. I didn't love the coaching job he did at Nebraska, but he's done a nice job here. Boise State on the road, we'll see how they fare. They went on the road at Washington State. They lost. They did have the win at St. Mary's, who was struggling at the time, but I don't know if I necessarily fully trust them. They're certainly an offensive team that's very capable, 91st in the country with offensive efficiency. They play at a slightly above average pace. That's also why I'm a little bit surprised, too, that the totals come down this far. San Jose State, 4 straight overs for them. The defense always is kind of up and down for them, but they can score, and they've shown that here. During this actually 5-game over streak for them, they've scored at least 73 in every game. I think they'll be able to do that here, especially at home. I think Boise State against a sometimes suspect San Jose State team at the defensive end can also score as well. So I'm a little surprised the total moved this much. I think when it opened in the 143 range, maybe I'm pumping the brakes on the over, but now I think it's fallen too far. So I have no problem taking it now at over 138.5, minus 105 at BetMGM. I'm also going to take San Jose State here, the Spartans, +6, -1, actually +6.5, minus 120 at ProLine Plus. +6.5, minus 120 ProLine Plus. We will take that number with San Jose State. Good in the home dog roll. I'm not sure I trust Boise State in this spot to win by margin.
Love it. Love the breakdown over 138.5, minus 105, San Jose State +6.5, minus 120. I'm going to take a little bit longer look at San Jose State myself. Bowling Green, I'm going to look at a little bit longer. Bobano's on the over 141.5 in Bowling Green. Akron. Bobano's on the Fighting Illini +10.5, minus 105. He's on the over 127.5 and St. Peter's +2.5. I'm quite close to moving on St. Peter's. Bobano's on Quinnipiac -3.5. He's on the over 156.5 in Miami. Toledo. He's on the over 144.5 in Canisius, Mount St. Mary's, and he's on Canisius +3. He's on Siena +5. That was juiced to -125 in the over 141 in Stag, Saints, and Siena. I expect to bet when this show is over. There we go. Bobano, I will review your action in the National Championship and in NHL when the show is over. Excellent work, my friend. We want to remind everybody watching, we have this huge NBA card that we're about to attack, but we have our NFL playoff pool. It'll be live this evening, and we're really excited about it. A $50 entry. It's a confidence pool. It's not against the spread. It's just win-loss. You have 13 slots. Your 13 being your most confident spot. So, for instance, wildcard week, you'll have 6 different slots you can fill in because there's 6 games, 13 games throughout the whole playoffs. Whether you want, to use your 13, 12, 11, because you get 13 points for that 13 spot, 1 point for the 1 spot. We'll have a better explanation when we break it down on video. But we're really excited about this playoff confidence pool. We'd like everybody to enter it, and you can get in until Friday at midnight. Picks have to be in Friday at midnight next week. So we still have 7 days there that we'll be pitching that and pushing that. Great work, Bobano. Can't wait to rock with you on Monday night for the National Championship. Good luck with all of your action, my friend. And do you have any last words here for the Cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, I will be on with you around 7:10, 7:15 Eastern on Monday night, right before kickoff. We'll confirm all our action, although you already know I'm on Washington for this game. We'll see if I've added anything with the total by then, but looking forward to it. I mean, let's hope we get a good game. That's all I'm asking for. Give us a great national championship game, a great finish to the college football season. So join us on Monday night for the national championship live stream. Looking forward to that. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit that like button. It helps us out. We appreciate it very much. Have a great weekend, everyone in the chat. Cash those tickets. Have a profitable weekend. Enjoy the final week of the regular season in the NFL, too. That should be a lot of fun. And Jimmy, same to you. Good luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, my friend. There he is, Bobano. Follow him on X at Bobano. All right, we roll on to this giant NBA card, and we have just the man for the job. As you guys know, with your gambling, it ebbs and flows, and sometimes you feel real confident. Sometimes you start, questioning things. Last year, LJ's first year with us, he was excellent, and he got real hot around the time when we were at Pubapalooza. That makes sense. You have a lot of data at that point. And LJ got off to a tough start. He was strong last Friday, December 22nd. We didn't have him on the 29th. We haven't had him for 2 weeks because he was sick. So Friday, December 22nd, he's began the turnaround, and I know he's going to do it. So he's not where he wants to be overall on the season, but he's coming off a 6-4 plus 1.64 unit Friday. And we have enormous belief in him. And another thing about the transparency and honesty that we have in the show is that you're going to see cappers that have records that aren't good. And one of the fun things is watching that capper dig deep, climb out, and get into the black. And the perfect example of that last year was Daryl Rice. Got off to a horrible start here on the show, and he ended up, up double-digit units, and he had the best performance of any NBA capper that we had last year on our show. So I can't wait to see what he does here. I'm so happy to have him back in action, healthy after getting through the flu, and I love working with your next guest. So please welcome star of the Trill OG play of the day, a capper that you can hang out with in San Antonio, Pubapalooza. And he's Money in the Bank, capping and just hanging out. Please welcome LJ from HTown.
Pub Sports Radio's the crew, that's a fact. We all about bread, making bank accounts fat. Who the hell is that? LJ from the H, I stack green like Boston. Shout out to Nasty Nate from down south, where we ride on slab. 420 highway smoking with that boy Dad and Cab. Swing by Dallas with them Cowboy fans so we can smoke out J Money, cause you know that's our mans. Us against the bookies, put money in our pockets. Fly out to Vegas, meet up with Ski Profit. Hit the sports books, we got money to stack. Can't forget them college picks with that boy Connor Mack.
LJ, what's good, my man? How are you?
Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, good job. I'm doing great, Jimmy.
It's not our best audio, though. Is there anything we can mess with or get you closer to the mic or something? You want to? Now we can't hear you at all. Let's get you locked and loaded. I mean, if that's what we need to work with, we can work with that, LJ. Because we can hear you, but it's not the strongest. The strongest. Let me set up our. Oh, let's hear you.
Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. We'll work with that.
Okay. Well,
we'll work with that.
I'll just talk like this, you know what I'm saying? But
that's perfect. Sounds good.
All right. Happy Friday to you. You just mentioned my record is not too good, but hey, this is a new year, new attitude, new money. So I am determined to bounce back, get my record back to where it needs to be, because I put in the work, Jimmy, to do this. So I'm going to be a great example coming into this new year, because I know all the people in the chat looking forward to us to make them some money. So we got a big card today. I took time off today. I'm done with work, ready to lock and load, Jimmy, and let's attack this board. Let's get it.
Man, you're such a stand-up quality individual. I love capping with you, and I have enormous belief in you to bounce back. So let's get right to work. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Utah Jazz 16-19, 5-14 on the road at the Boston Celtics 26-7, 16-0 at home, and we are at TD Garden. TD Garden, where the Celtics have yet to lose a basketball game. Utah 4-1 over their past 5, playing the pace at 101.39 possessions a game. Boston 4-1, playing the pace 99.62 possessions a game. That's 17th in the league. Nasty Nate in the house. You talk about the Celtics, and he appears. He appears. Just don't offer him water at Pubapalooza. That's all you need to know. If you don't offer him water, best friends. All right, let's get into the spot here and talk about the line history. Line history-wise, Boston enormous favorite, sitting here minus 14 at minus 107. They opened up. We're going to go back to Pinnacle openers. They opened up at minus 110 to 4. So this has not moved since it opened. Just juice and back and forth. From a total perspective here, we're sitting. Sorry, let me get over to Pinnacle at 238.5. Now this has moved. This opened up really early at BetOnline at 242, but Pinnacle opened it up at 239.5. It dropped to 238.5 now, so it's a 1 point drop over there. We get to the cash flow for our first game on the board. 52% of the tickets and 89% of the cash is on the Celtics. It's a lot of money on the Celtics for the line not to be moving. 54% of tickets are on the over. We don't know what the cash flow is for it. So just to set a quick table, the Jazz coming off their third straight victory, ugly 154-148 overtime win at home over Detroit on Wednesday. And the Celtics come in after having their 6-game winning streak snapped in a 127-123 setback at the Thunder on Tuesday. Take it away for us, LJ. Our first game on the board, Jazz Celtics.
Yeah, Jimmy, you know how I feel about home favorites on Friday nights in front of their home crowd. So easy play for me, but you already mentioned Boston 16-0 as a home favorite. They're 6-0 at home on Fridays, Jimmy. But I'm not going to focus on the big spread. I don't like that 14 because even though the Jazz don't play well on the road, they are 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 games. So they've been playing well as of late. But we're going to focus on the first half. Boston, 8-2 against the spread in the first half of the last 10 games. Number 1 in the NBA point margin first half. So whatever number you can find me with that, Jimmy, that's going to be my play just because I like Boston early. And the Jazz, we already know 5-14 against the spread in the first half on the road. So they don't play very well early on the road. They also allowed 121 points on the road as well. So I can easily see Boston getting their team total. I lean over as well just because Boston shoots a lot of threes. We do know this. They've hit 40% from the three-point line, 9 out of the last 11 home games. So this is what they do. I believe they're going to jump on the Jazz early. But like we always say, if they have a 20-point lead going into the third, early fourth quarter, some of these teams we know they don't stay engaged with a 20-point lead like that. And in the NBA, that's not a safe lead. Couple threes, basket or two will get you right back in that game. So I can see the Jazz creeping back up in the fourth quarter to make it a game if Boston hasn't just completely dominated the game. So I don't want to trust the full game, even though I like Boston to win, of course, as at home. But let's just focus on the first half where they're the number 1 team in the NBA.
First half, -8.5, -108 at Bookmaker. We can get you that at -8 at Pinnacle with the same juice.
Okay, let's do it.
The 8.5 over Pinnacle's at +102. So LJ is on the board. Celtics first half -8 at -108. We roll on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, Atlanta Hawks 14-19, 9-10 on the road at the Indiana Pacers, 19-14, 10-7 at home at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Going to be I'm very interested to see what the Pacers do. 5 straight wins. That's not the issue. It's those 2 wins against the Bucks in a real heated environment. Now you bounce back against the Hawks. I don't know. Now Hawks coming off their second straight win, 141-138 at home over the Thunder on Wednesday. It was a terrible spot for the Thunder on the second half back-to-back. I was on the Hawks at +100, and it was not fun watching them. And they were in complete control. They were up, double digits with a minute and 40 left, and Isaiah Joe had the shot from the corner to take the game to overtime.
Yeah,
with 3 seconds left. By the way, that play call was just absolutely beautiful. I mean, they're doing some really nice things over in OKC.
Yeah,
but here, Atlanta plays no defense, and these teams are playing at a fast pace. We've talked about, I didn't play the money line top shelf. My ball's much smaller than your balls. As your balls are dragging in toilet water, my balls are dry. My balls are dry, unfortunately, top shelf. I wish I played the money line, but still, I enjoyed the +9.5. Hawks, Pacers here. Atlanta 2-3 over their past 5, playing at the pace of 102.8 possessions a game. Indiana, Pacers 5-0, playing at the pace of 102.7 possessions a game. That's second and third in the NBA, respectively. We've talked about how it's slowed down a little bit across the board in the NBA over the last 3 weeks, month. So let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have a very telling line. I mean, this line is telling us that the Pacers are going to have trouble against the Hawks because they just played with such emotion against the Bucks. I mean, why would the Pacers be -1.5 in this spot? The Pacers are only 10-7 at home. You could say that. You could say the Hawks have been better on the road than they have been at home. Those are legitimate, factors, but it's hard to believe after watching the Pacers take out the Bucks when the Bucks really wanted to beat them.
Yeah,
that we'd be sitting here at -1.5 against the lowly Hawks. So that's where we're at. We're at -1.5, and this line hasn't moved. I want to go right to where it is with the cash flow because I know it's going to make me move on the Hawks. I mean, how could this? Oh, that's the problem. I'm on first half. Thank you. That makes no sense. I'm sorry. That makes no sense. Yes, 3. Okay, that makes more sense. So we're sitting at a 3. So this opened up with the Hawks -4 and it moved to 3. That makes more sense. Still, that move towards the Hawks is so fishy. 32% of the tickets and 32% of the cash. I hate the fact that this market is pushing me into a Atlanta Hawks bet, but that's exactly what it's doing. It's exactly what it's doing. This total is a ridiculous 261.5. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Opened up at 264, dropped down to 261.5. We have 68% of tickets, but 59% cash on the over. Just a ludicrous number. I mean, look at this on the money line. We're not talking about a big spread, and what we see in hockey is very different than basketball, because in basketball, some of the syndicates and people who make the bigger bets don't bother with the 2 or the 3. They just want the cash. But on the money line, 17% of the tickets are on the Hawks and 2% of the cash. This is very wild here. DG says he wants to play the under just on principle. That's my first thought too, but it's so aggravating. It's so aggravating watching these high games when you're on the under. Take it away for us here, LJ. Hawks Pacers, because the market is screaming at me to bet the Hawks here, and it's not a fun proposition. Take it away for us.
Yeah, I can see why, because I think the Hawks are a live dog in this game. And I see why all the money's on the over, because 11 out of the last 12 games in this matchup, the total has gone over. So we could tell that both these teams put up points. But when you're breaking it down, there's different ways you can look at this game. I like your angle with Indiana coming off the high, 2 games versus the Bucks. They smacked them up pretty much, but I just think it's personal with the Bucks. They're in their division. So I believe this game is going to be a little bit different just because both these teams play fast. There's no time of just playing half court with these teams. They both put up shots. They both move the ball. They're both fast breaking down the court. So if you're looking at this game early, the Hawks, they're 7-1 against the spread in the first half their last 8 games. So they've been playing very well early in the game, and they just lose it in the second half because they're 1-5 against the spread full game the last 5 games. Now, 8-25 against the spread overall is the glaring number we know about the Hawks. They don't cover spreads. Home, away, it doesn't matter. Indiana covers spreads. They're 5-0 against the spread the last 5 games as well. So if I had to make a play, I would bet the Pacers to cover, but I'm scared of you with the market because I'm learning more about the market and the money when I chat with you and other guys that pay attention to that, because I don't pay attention to that. But I've been tracking certain things to where when I see y'all say the money's moved over here, but the line hasn't moved, I check to see if that team has won that game. And a lot of times they don't win that game. So I see why y'all pay attention to that. But all that said, Jimmy, I want to lean Pacers, but I wanted to talk it out with you in the chat to see who was leaning most, because I could see the Pacers having a letdown because Atlanta doesn't give up. They could be down by 20 points and they're still fighting. You know what I'm saying? So if the Pacers are missing a couple of shots, have a bad quarter here and there, the Hawks can stay in this game. So I haven't made a decision yet. I just want to talk it out with y'all, but probably at the end of the show, I may come to a decision. But far as right now, I'm just going to pass on it until I can get more data and see who else is on it and see what they're saying.
Well, I would hate to get too cute and only take the first half here, but even DG talking about wanting to take the Hawks first quarter. Winetime's taking them +3, and Justin McKelvey's taking them +123 to win. And DG saw that I was looking at the first half line. Thank you, DG. So Ken Davis saying this is the highest total in NBA history. They're not playing at that fast of a pace. I know it's the second and third fastest in the NBA, but 102 possessions a game. I
have another angle too. If y'all watching this game live, at Indiana, it's down at halftime. I suggest you take Indiana live third quarter. They're 9-1 against the spread in the third quarter at home versus the Eastern Conference. So that could be a live play that you could make, but I'm not making it official because I can't bet it right now. But third quarter at home, think about taking Indiana coming out of halftime.
I am betting the Atlanta Hawks 100%.
Okay.
The question is how? Even from your breakdown, that would lead me to backing them early.
Yeah.
And I do not think that the Pacers will be able to have the emotion that we just saw them, despite having the winning streak that can keep a team sharp. It's only 5 games. So now I don't want to get too cute whether first quarter, first half. I feel like I should take them both. I will only bet them both if I don't have very much action here. If I have enough action, I will take one or the other. And I kind of lean towards the first half, but I find them both interesting. So that's me. First quarter, first half, or both. I have to decide around that. But this is right in my. Unfortunately, it's back in the Hawks, which I despise. But
Yeah.
But from a situation here, the public is on the Pacers. 68% of tickets, 70% of cash. The line is moving towards the Hawks. The Pacers are coming off a very emotional home and home with the Bucks, and the Hawks maybe feel okay about themselves after that win against the Thunder. So I mean, you could even cut that Thunder analysis out, and just the other three is perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we do with that. Our guy Jarek White in the house. He's just dropping off his action for us. This is what makes the show so special, that people go out of their way to do this. Thank you, Jarek, my man. Let's go copy and paste that, and we'll discuss it here throughout. But he's on Butler plus 6.5. Great pickup on the line move where we see 4.5s and 5s there. He's on the under 155 in Illini Boilermakers, and he's on Nets plus 5.5. Thank you, Jarek, my man. And Topset says he thinks the Hawks win. Mike, though, looking at the Pacers. Topset saying take first quarter, first half, and full game under. Okay, we roll on. And thank you, Jarek. We move on to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Oklahoma City Thunder 23-10, 9-5 on the road. The Brooklyn Nets 15-20, 9-8 at home. OKC 4-1 over their past 5, playing the pace of 101.8 possessions a game. Brooklyn 0-5, 26 pace, playing the pace of 97.90 possessions a game. I made the unfortunate decision to back them at Houston on Wednesday, and the line moved a 1.5 in my favor, even though everybody was on Houston. I was like, oh, this is going to cash for sure. Now, if I had just bet first quarter or first half or either of those, and I get why that makes sense. It wasn't a great spot for Houston. I don't know exactly why. It was their 5th game of a 7-game homestand, right? So I don't know why that would have been not a great spot for them. I can't remember the ideology behind it, but the idea was that Brooklyn had just shot horrific, and they were going to be better. They needed a fresh slate. I should have taken them early because, you have a better chance with a dog, I believe, but now it changes depending on the size of the dog, but in a shorter amount of time. And that's an easy thing to say. I digress. Let's move on to the line history here for Oklahoma City, Brooklyn. I still don't have futures on Oklahoma City. When I watch Denver play, I understand why I don't.
Yeah.
But God, I think Oklahoma is so good.
They're right there, though. They're right there.
This total opening up at 234.5 is at 234.5. We saw it go up to 235.5 for a little bit, but it's sitting right at over 234 or at 234.5. And spread wise here, we're sitting at minus 5.5. Sitting at minus 5.5. That's exactly where it opened. For a little bit, it went to 5. It went back 5.5. I mean, how in the world would anybody want to back Brooklyn here with the way they're playing? But this market is not moving towards OKC, despite 78% of tickets and 84% of cash being on them. Good God, am I going to have to do this? I don't want to. 77% of tickets, 98% of cash on the over, and I'm going to have to bet Brooklyn here. I mean, how do you not fade the public in this situation where they're like, hey, you guys want the Thunder, then bet them. Take it away for us here, LJ. Thunder Nets.
Yeah, I can see your trepidation, Jimmy, because I couldn't come to a play in this game. Not a play, but I do have a prop. But yeah, Oklahoma City, man, 9-2 against the spread versus the East, 4-1 against the spread last 5 games, 8-2 in the last 10. So they've been playing very well. The Nets, you just mentioned, they're 2-9 versus the West, 3-8 against the spread, 0-5 against the spread last 5 games. But the Nets are 11-5-1 against the spread at home. So they play very well at home. They're not so much of a good team on the road. Now, Oklahoma City plays well at home or on the road. But are they motivated to come out and make a statement versus the Nets? I really like backing OKC versus the Western Conference. I don't like them outside of the conference versus the East because anything could go. They don't see these teams a lot. So I kind of veer away from trying to take teams and cross conference games unless I got a glaring advantage. You know, it has to be glaring, but I don't have a glaring one here. But Oklahoma City are number one in the NBA in opponents' field goal percentage on the road. So they do keep those under 50% is what I think. It's like 49, 48 is what they're keeping opponents on the road field goal percentage. And they allow only 110 points on the road, which is third in the NBA. So I can see a low scoring game, but I don't know who's going to win the game because, like I said, I don't know if OKC will be motivated to beat the Nets like that. But if you like them, I'll take them early just because the Nets don't play good early, you know, but I just stayed off the side. But I have a prop, and everybody should know the prop. Shea Gildress, over 32.5 points, minus 121. Simply because he's hit this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of his last 8 games. He's had over 32.5 points. So I see it continuing today. He's top 3 in the NBA in scoring, averaging 30. So I don't see how the Nets hold him down because the Nets they've allowed the leading scorer of the opposing team the last 5 games to average 30 points. So that's my play, Shea, over points. But side, I had to stay off Jimmy just because OKC is versus the Nets. That's an Eastern Conference team, and the Nets are 11-5 against the spread at home. So I stayed off.
Over 32.5, we can get you minus 110 at Pinnacle. So
let's do it.
Let's cut the juice off there. Minus 110 over 32.5 points. Michael Buelna saying, will there be a more public play on the board than the Thunder minus 5.5 today? Sammy's saying fading the Nets off West Trip early. I'm happy that you added early because I don't think this is a legit fade spot because they were so bad on the trip. Like that, they're happy to be home, but I understand the idea behind it here. Wine Time says this could be in that spot, but I've gotten burned by them too many times when I followed the market. Mike saying that OKC will still cover. Dan Kelly, he talked about 4 teams playing their 6th and 9 games the other day, and all 4 were good fades. Here he says only Memphis is playing their 6th game in 9 days. Toronto, Phoenix, Knicks, and Dallas are playing their 6th in 10 days. Brooklyn, OKC, and Orlando playing their 7th in 11 days.
Yep.
This is all very, very helpful information, Dan, my man. So thank you for sharing that with us. I'm going to copy and paste that here. Well, you guys know what I have to do. I have to bet the Nets. I have to bet them. The question is, do I need to bet them now? I mean, do I want to see if the books show any concern? If the book showed some legit concern, then I could stay off. And if they just showed a little tiny bit of concern, I could get them at 6. So that will have to be the play. I'll have to wait, I think. But I'm going to be on the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
Unfortunately. We have LJ on Shea over 32.5 points at minus 110. Sly Astute, my guy Astute Chaos, OKC Brooklyn first half over 118. We roll on. Next up for 7:30 p.m. Washington Wizards at the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we have Dan Kelly to roll us into this one. He says, in the last 6 games, Jared Allen is averaging 20 points, 15 boards, and 5.5 assists.
Yes.
He says you can get this same game parlay over 19.5 points, over 13.5 boards, and over 3.5 assists that pays plus 350.
I like it.
From Dan Kelly. And he's got first quarter Mitchell over 7.5 points and minus 104. Says he's averaging 9.5 first quarter points in the last 6 games. Washington doesn't do defense. Speaking of, using the information, and that's what this show is about. Everybody comes in here and gives as much information as possible. I talked about how in the game previous to the Wizards horror show last game when they lost, by 30 some odd points. I talked about how they were coming off this game where they had taken 53% 3-pointers and they'd hit a good percentage of them. I gave that information out because I was astonished reading it. And Nutflush Allen took their team total under. He did not believe that they would be able to mimic that kind of performance. And he won that bet by 15 and 17 points. So it was an excellent look by Nutflush. No surprise there.
Yeah, no.
So here we go. Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio, where Cleveland's just 10-8 at home. Washington 1-4 over their past 5, playing at the 7th fastest pace in the NBA, 101.8 possessions a game. Cleveland 3-2, playing at the 21st fastest pace, 98.60 possessions a game. Johnny K looking at the over, and Lucky Lefty looking at the Nets money line first quarter here. So these teams just met here. 140-101 Cavalier victory. And it wasn't that there was one thing that jumped out at me. And it wasn't, obviously I thought Nut Flush's look was brilliant, but the Cavs out rebounded the Wizards 62-36. Who put this Wizards team together? You should be ashamed of yourself, and you shouldn't be allowed to talk basketball. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have the Wizards plus 10 at minus 103. Now, there was a similar situation, and I'll pull it up when we during LJ's breakdown. But a similar situation that Washington was in. I believe it was against Brooklyn, but I'll have to go take a look at it. It was a 2 games, same arena. It might have been a home, but 2 games against the same team. They got destroyed, and then they came back and only lost by a handful of points and covered easily for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to back the Wizards after getting embarrassed. Do the Wizards have any heart and any character? I don't know. And you need a team with heart and character if you want them to bounce back. But I expect the Wizards to bounce back here. Let's take a look at the total for this one. 238. This opened up at 239. I think I did that already. So then let's get to the cash flow here for this one. We have 42% of tickets and 83% of the cash on the Wizards. I mean, this is just a simple bet. If you did this in every game all year in NBA, which gives us the benefit of having 2 teams playing each other, sometimes the same arena, but back to back or home and home. If you just bet the team that got crushed and backed them the next game, your ROI would be through the roof. I get why they're doing it. 41% of tickets and 80% cash on the over, and yet the total's dropped. Take it away for us here, LJ. Wizards, Cavs.
Yeah, I like your theory of backing the Wizards, Jimmy. I'm going to take them early, first quarter. The 4-1 against the spread in the first quarter, last 5 games. 8-3 against the spread in the first quarter, last 11 games. And they lost the last first quarter versus the Cavs. So I believe they come out, they keep it close in the first quarter. That's all I'm going to focus on because I'm not going to take the full game because the Wizards are ass. 2-13 on the road versus the East, 2-13 against 2-3 against the spread their last 5 games. So not going to worry about that, but I'll take them early because I think they will want to show that they can come out in that first quarter and put up some points. The Cavs also trend to the first quarter, first half over too. They're number 1 in the NBA first half over, 23-11. They're 10-1 in their last 11 to the first half over. So if I believe that's the case, it's going to be a lot of points scored. And the Wizards are going to try to put up points to keep up with the Cavs. So you can look early for as that, but I'm just going to focus on the first quarter with the Wizards. Get in and get out because I do believe they're going to want to come out early and make a statement. Now, I like the Jared Allen prop as well. I have his assists at over 3.5 minus 167. That's too juice for me. If somebody can find me maybe a 140, I would take it, but I can't pay 167 over 3.5 assists for Jared Allen. But if anybody in chat can find a 140, I'll make that official. But other than that, official Wizards first quarter.
I will try to find you that. It's locked up at Pinnacle for some reason. Let me see. Oh, now I can get it here. Okay, Jared Allen assists is locked right now, so we'll revisit it. We'll revisit it. And also 2 weeks ago, you joined us. Wizards Warriors. You took the Wizards first quarter +4. They lost first quarter by 3, and you cashed it.
Yep.
I'm interested in it. Caddy seeing the over 4.5 at +145. Topset says Cavs first quarter is the play. Don't fall for it. That's what Topset says.
Yeah, I'm falling for it.
I'm very interested in the bounce back. So I can understand, and it's part of the fun. We don't always need to agree with each other. It's part of the fun. Let's go back to this similar situation that Washington was in here very quickly. And I'm sorry, I meant to have that pulled up, but I was looking for that prop. But here we go. The Wizards were just in this situation, and it was against Orlando. My fault. It was against Orlando. So they played Orlando twice in the same arena. And they also did this against Charlotte in a home and home. But the exact same similar situation was against Orlando. They lose by 19 in Orlando on Wednesday night. I backed them on the Friday night, and that was the game. If you remember, Orlando was going to tie their franchise record and win, but they won. And I moved on Washington, and they almost won the game outright. They lost by 5 points and covered. So I think there's something similar that's going to happen here. Similar that happens here. So I'm going to join you on that first quarter.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. I definitely can't double up on this trash basketball team.
Yeah.
But I'm going to I got to figure it out. I think your first quarter is appealing. Maybe I just go there. Minus 140, Leonard Porch Jr. found at FanDuel. So
Okay.
that's moving in the right direction here. Let me see if I can get these. No, they're still locked. So remind me to double back. But right now we have minus
Okay.
140. Thank you, Leonard. And we'll see if we can we beat it. I'll put I can't put it. Every little symbol means something, and I don't know what revisit is. Maybe I'll just say revisit. All right, let's move on. Next up for us is 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have the New York Knicks, 19-15, 9-11 on the road at the Philadelphia 76ers, 23-10, 13-4 at home at Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Knicks 2-3 over their past 5. I don't know how important it really is to break down their pace over the last 5 because OG's in now, and so let's not even bother with them. Philadelphia 3-2, playing at 25th fastest pace in the league, 98 possessions a game. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We'll start with the side from first quarter. From a side perspective, we're sitting here with Philly as 6-point favorites, -6. They opened up -6.5. It's been bouncing 6.5, 6, 6.5, 6. So we have a half-point move towards the Knicks. Total wise, we're sitting at 231.5. This has climbed up from 226, a 5.5-point move towards the over. Let's get to the cash flow then for the Knicks game. We have 30% of the tickets and 65% of the cash on the Knicks. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money, a lot of big bets that have placed on them. Now only 3 of every 10 tickets, but still 74% of the tickets and 98% cash on the over, and the books shook, climbing at 5 points. Justin McKelvey has the Knicks plus 6.5 on his card. They're coming off their second straight victory, 116-100 at home over the Bulls on Wednesday. The night before that, on Tuesday, the Sixers defeated the Bulls at home 110-97. Of course, we talked about that score flattering the Bulls. The Sixers were up 110-83, and then they didn't score a point for the final 8 minutes of the basketball game, which is just so nuts. Absolutely nuts. The best price caddy seats for that Jared Allen props, -139 at North Star. So I like that. Thank you for looking, caddy. Take it away for us here, LJ. Knicks Sixers. The Knicks seem sharp. Are you interested?
Yeah, I'm very interested, but not with the Knicks. Even though OG, they won both games with them since the trade, they covered both games. So seems like they got a new vibrance out there in New York. They've won the rebounding battle in both games as well. So they're protecting the glass, limiting other teams for second chance points. But it was against Minnesota and the Bulls, I do believe, that the Knicks just played. But we're going to Philadelphia now, ladies and gentlemen, who is a strong home favorite. 12-3 at home as a home favorite. On Fridays, Jimmy, guess what? They're 3-0. 3-1 at home versus the division, 5-2 versus the division overall, 6-1 against the spread versus the division are the Philadelphia 76ers. They're also 7-1 against the spread their last 8 games at home, and they're also 11-1 straight up in their last 12 games with Joel Embiid in the lineup. So I believe it continues today, Jimmy. So put me down, -6 for the 76ers. I believe they will take care of business just because of the home favorite on Fridays is a trend that I have been cashing on. And Philadelphia is a great home team on Fridays. Now, don't get me wrong. The Knicks could have a chance to win. I do like the OG trade. He takes a lot of pressure off of Randle and now Brunson in order to play defense on the other main player on the other team. So they can relax a little bit, and save that energy for the offensive side, because those are only your 2 offensive weapons pretty much for the Knicks. You have Randle, you have Brunson. So you really can't depend on anybody else. I mean, OG could get you maybe 15, 16, but other than that, everybody's just sprinkling in here and there. The 76ers have multiple people that can put the ball in the hole, and they have the MVP in the league, in my opinion, right now, holding down the fort. So all that said, Jimmy, I'm on the 76ers -6. I think they take care of business tonight at home versus the Knicks.
I guess, I have to think about it a little more, but that might take me off of the Knicks. I wonder if, I don't think I got to think about whether it's the excitement over the trade that's pushing the bigger bets on the Knicks or not. But yeah. I do think that fundamentally they're a much better basketball team with OG on the floor than now. They're going to miss, quickly, but getting RJ off is going to be helpful. Wine Time is with you on Philly. Top Set is on Maxi, under 25.5 points. And our guy DC has dropped San Jose State into the chat. Astute Chaos says this game is so tricky because he wants to take the first half over, but I think that with OG on the Knicks and Embiid, ISO could kill it going over that 113.5. Markel on the 76ers first half. We'll roll on. And Top Set says he agrees 76ers crush. Okay. And Joseph Gomez saying the Mitchell Robinson injury forced the Knicks' hand, but player for player, the Raptors won the trade. Quickly will be better. I think the reason why I don't think that Quickly necessarily is going to be better than OG, but having Quickly under contract is huge.
Yeah.
And when you're in Toronto and there's a fear that players don't want to play in Canada, that's extremely important.
Yeah.
And we will love Emmanuel Quickly. We'll let him have anything he wants in the country. We'll put him on the $20 bill. He'll have the $100 bill, whatever he wants. We want him to stick around and want to stick around badly.
Because he's a starter now. He can start. He don't have to come off the bench. So, yeah.
They love him already. The players love playing with him. The fans love him. So, all right, let's roll on. 8 p.m. Eastern. Charlotte Hornets 8-24, 4-13 on the road. Chicago Bulls 15-21, 11-9 at home. United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Charlotte 1-4 over the past 5, playing at a pace of 99.1 possessions a game. That's 18th in the league. Chicago 2-3, playing at a pace 97.6 possessions a game, 28th in the league. You know, I hate to digress here and talk about something different, and I can wait till the end with the Raptors, but just very quickly, and I might forget about saying this, but I think I'm almost certain. I've been thinking about Masai and never trying to completely regroup. Try to get the number 1, number 2 overall picks, and I think I know why. If we got the number 1 overall pick in the draft, or some superstar, you think he's going to want to play in Canada after that rookie contract? No. So why go through that?
Yeah.
Why go through that if it's not going to give your team long-term success, no matter how much love you shower on the player?
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to the Grizzlies picking Steve Francis when he didn't want. He said, "I'm not going to play up there. I'm not going to play up there." And we were still like, "Well, we'll still draft you because Phil Jackson is in the ass clown." But Dan Kelly says taxes. Yeah, the taxes are a problem. Look, they're a problem in LA too.
Yeah, a lot of states.
And DG says, I love teams like the Raps and Heat that never tank, but you can't tank if you're the Raps because you only get them for that rookie contract and then they fuck off. So, but we can talk about all that. It's a long conversation. Let's get back to Hornets Bulls here. So this is a home and home with these teams. They face each other again on Monday in Charlotte. So Charlotte finally snapped their 11-game losing streak on Tuesday, winning at Sacramento 111-104. And Sammy letting us know that he loves the Raptors. So Terry Rozier goes for 34. They win at Sacramento 111-104. Bulls coming off their third loss in 4 games, 116-100 at the Knicks on Wednesday. I don't know if it's the fear. Come on, Dan. Come on. Yeah. But I don't know if it's the fear of Levine coming back or that dead cat bounce is over. That bounce, the excitement of the everybody eats situation. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure, but it feels like that bounce that we had felt. Maybe it's Kobe White's nagging injuries. Maybe that is it, but something is gone here. No, I know, Dan. I know, my friend. I guess, Dan, it's sad. It's sad to be in a market that players don't want to play in. It just sucks. What chance do you have at creating any kind of prolonged success if the players don't want to be there? So I guess I would have enjoyed the humor if I wasn't sitting in despair at the legitimate mediocrity of the future of this franchise and why it's going to continue in that way, and it just sucks. So I'm sorry I got a little sad there and wasn't able to find the humor, my friend, but I love you, Dan. I love you and I get it. Okay, so we're sitting here with the Bulls as 9.5-point favorites. They opened up as 8. So we have a 1.5 move towards the Chicago Bulls. From a total side of things, we are sitting here at 219.5. So this total has dropped from 222.5. Big 3-point move towards the under. When we get to the cash flow here, we have it. So there we go. Sorry. We have 76% of the tickets, 91% of cash on the Bulls line moving in their direction. 60% of tickets and 45% of cash on the under. if you don't want to bet this game, that's fine. But definitely take notes about how you want to handle Monday, because we have a huge advantage when two teams play each other, even if it's not in the same city. Take it away for us here, LJ, Hornets, Bulls.
Yeah, Jim, we're not interested in laying 8.5 with the Bulls. So didn't cap this game for the most part. They both have been trending, down. The Hornets are 1-4 versus this division. Bulls are 22-3 against the spread last 5. But first half, both teams have been decent. The Hornets are 4-1 against the spread in the first half last 5. Bulls are 8-3 against the spread in the first half last 11. So didn't have a solid advantage. I mean, the last meeting, the Bulls did win 111-100 versus this team. So I don't know what to expect. Like you said, let's just wait to see who wins this game and maybe jump on the other team the next game. But nothing interested in this game for me, Jimmy. So I just did a pass.
I would love if the Bulls were coming off a win and not 3 losses in 4 games. I imagine they're going to be sharp off the hop. But the Hornets to carry on the momentum from that win in Sacramento for a quarter, it would not surprise me here. And it's just that the Bulls, losers are 3 or 4. How do they not come in here sharp? But hard to be sharp against the Hornets. Not hard to be sharp at a sold out United Center.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the only advantage for the most part, the Hornets have been on the road. 7 out of the last 8 games have been on the road. So I think this is the last game of a 6-game road trip, I believe, somewhere around there. So that's the only advantage Chicago could have is, the Hornets probably ready to go home, been on the road a long time, but I can't trust it.
Yeah, we've seen that, the legitimacy of a team on the final game of a road trip that is ready to come home. Let's see here. Yeah, because then they face Chicago again at home.
Yeah.
Okay. And Vooch, Zach LaVine and Vooch ruled in.
Zach LaVine is coming back?
Yeah, we knew it was any minute. And so, yeah.
What, they couldn't find a trade for him?
Well, they need to show that he's healthy first.
Oh, okay. I guess. I thought that's not letting him sit. I thought keeps him healthy, not playing him.
Michael Blunt says returning star players can script the flow of offense if LaVine is back tonight. And
Definitely.
Troy Torrance says LaVine in, fade the Bulls.
Definitely. I agree.
They're on minute restrictions, both coming off the bench. Wow. Okay, that does interest me on the Hornets. And so the line, now we have all the money on the Bulls as well. Okay, I'm going to wait again on this one, but that does interest me on the Hornets. All right, let's move on. Next up for us, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Minnesota Timberwolves, 24-9, 10-7 on the road at LJ's Houston Rockets, 17-15, but 14-5 at home. Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Set up the rest situation. But we have Houston plus 3.5 at even money. They open plus 3.5 minus 105. So this line just not moving. From a total scenario here, we have a 217.5 juice to the under, minus 112. Opening up at 219.5 down to 217.5. Let's get into the cash flow here. 49% of the tickets and 80% of the cash is on the Rockets. Big bets on the Rockets, but the line not moving towards them. 29% of the tickets and 77% of cash on the under. Minnesota comes in off their second straight loss, 117-106 at home to the Pelicans on Wednesday. We know that this is just they're 10-7 on the road. That's still a really good road record, but it's nothing compared to what they've done, at home where they're 14-2. And the Rockets have sort of come back to earth from that unbelievable home run. They're coming in off their second straight win, 112-101 at home over Brooklyn on Wednesday. They didn't look very good doing it. But I wonder if it's these back-to-back losses that will push the Wolves to really step up here. I don't know. I'm not sure. Take it away for us here, LJ. Wolves, Rockets.
Yeah, I believe the Wolves bounce back in this game. The Rockets do play well at home, as we know, 11-2 against the spread at home versus the West. But Minnesota's 0-5 against the spread the last 5 games. How long is that going to stay up? Because I believe that they're going to want to bounce back versus a vulnerable Rockets team that don't have all our players in our lineup. We don't have Dylan Brooks. He's the best defender. He usually guards the best player on the other team. And we don't have Tyron Eason. He's our energy boost off the bench. He's the spark that gets the steals. He crashes the boards. He's just a relentless runner that continues to make effort plays. So He needs to be in that lineup for me to trust that the Rockets can cover these spreads. Now, I've been a huge Rocket fan. Y'all know this at home, first half. But I'm going to have to stay off because Tyrese is a game-time decision. He hasn't been ruled in yet. So, for that reason alone, I had to stay off. But I would definitely lean Minnesota minus the 3.5 to cover the spread just because they're 8-3 on the road versus the West. And I don't believe they're going to continue this losing streak. I believe they're going to bounce back in some form. Now, it may be against these Rockets because, like I said, we're very vulnerable. But home Friday nights, y'all know I like to preach it against your home crowd is a great advantage. But I don't believe we have it tonight because 2 key players are missing from our lineup. And that's one of the reasons why I just stayed off. Now, the under may be a good look. Under 218.5 because the Rockets are 11-7-1 to the under at home. And Minnesota's also an under team as well. So that's a strong lead to the under. First quarter under as well because the Rockets play very well, 22-10 to the first quarter under, first half under 2. But I'm not making it official because I don't like the fact that Tyron Easton is not ruled in the game. So that's the reason why I just stayed off completely.
I've figured my angle out here. Now, I lost that under by a half point in the Timberwolves Pelicans game. The Timberwolves were horrific. It was an absolute abomination. How do they not come ready to go first quarter, first half here? I just don't see how they couldn't. And I'm going to bet them first quarter, first half here. And then, by the way, Michael Blunt says Hornets off of their 7 wins are 1-6 against the spread in the first quarter the next game. So a very interesting stat there. I wouldn't take them first quarter necessarily if it's a Levine that I'm fading. So I might wait on that. But I'm going to be on the Wolves first quarter and first half.
Wow, double up, huh?
Yeah, double up here. It's not that I don't like them full game either. It's just that they were so bad.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Because I took the Pelicans. I was on Mike's show, and I took the Pelicans plus the money. So I believe that they're going to want to bounce back after that loss.
Oh, I couldn't believe how bad they're playing. And I was certain that was one of the things that bothers me so much. I was sitting there going, oh my God, I could bet this live under right now, bet this live under. And I would have lost those live bets, even though I don't understand why they were still scoring. They scored, there was like 7 points scored in the last minute of a blowout basketball game. And I was like, what? I mean, I was so furious. I'm going to be on the Wolves early. Let's move on to 8 p.m. Eastern. We had our guy BJ roll in, give us his best bet. Pelicans at a pick'em for 5 units. Pelicans at a pick'em. Clippers, Pelicanos at the Smoothie King Center, New Orleans, Louisiana. Clippers 21-12, 7-8 on the road, while the Pelicanos 21-14, 12-7 at home. Both teams are 4-1 over their past 5. Both teams are playing at a slow pace. Pelicans are playing at the slowest pace in the NBA over those 5 games, 96.88 possessions a game, while the Clippers are playing 97.70 possessions a game, 27th. So both teams coming off 4 straight wins. Clippers 131-122 at the Suns on Wednesday, and the Pelicans 117-106 at the Timberwolves on Wednesday. So let's take a look at the line history, see if that can help lead us here. Over at Pinnacle, we've been dealing with this one for so long, so why don't we just go to the money line? I think that would be the best example of where this market's going. So from a money line standpoint, we have the Clippers at minus 107. They opened up at minus 105. They got down to even money. Then they got up to minus 112, up to minus 113 this morning. Then there's been buyback to minus 107. So no real move there. Let's take a look at the total. From a total perspective, we are sitting here with a 230. This opened up at 229. It's just been bad. It got up to 231, got down to 228, kind of a U-shaped movement, bouncing all over the place. Let's get to the cash flow then for this one. We have 27% of the tickets and 57% of the cash on the Pelicans. So public on the Clippers on the road. I find that appealing to back the Pelicans with you guys. 29% of the tickets, 59% cash on the under. U-shaped movement on that. Don't know what the right move is. Take it away for us here, LJ. Clippers, Pelicanos.
Yeah, Jimmy, tough game right here, Jimmy. Tough game right here. Both these teams are playing very well right now. Let's start off with the Clippers. 8-2 in their last 10. 9-2 in the first half in their last 11 games. 3-2 against the spread last 5. But they are 7-3 versus this Southwest division. They played this division very well. And in the first half, Jimmy, they're +8 first half point margin in their last 3 games is the Clippers. Now, move over to the Pelicans. 7-3 in their last 10. 21-3 against the spread in the first half, their last 24 games, Jimmy. This is where the Pelicans play their best in the first half. +18 first half point margin in their last 3 games. 3-2 against the spread last 5. So these teams even up very, very well. They match up very well. I don't know where the advantage is going to be. If the Clippers have all their players in the lineup, I don't know if anybody's questionable or anything. They may have the advantage because Kawhi and Paul George are a tough matchup on that front court with the Pelicans. They really don't have nobody besides Herb Jones that can really defend that position. I mean, Zion's there, but he's more of a scorer. He's not really a defender like that. So I can see the Clippers coming in here and winning this game. It's -1 for a reason. It's very low spread. So it's a toss-up to me, Jimmy. So I couldn't come to a decision. So I'm just going to sit back and watch this game and see, for some future bets on this team. But as of today, I had to pass. These teams are playing too well right now.
Kelly McInnes on the Clippers. You got to trust your cap, Kelly. This is the only way to do it. And you never need to worry about being on the other side of any of us. BJ says the public's going to get cooked in this game. Same situation from OKC, Atlanta. DC Capre was these Pelicans. This makes sense to me. It makes sense backing the Pelicans here at home. I know that the Clippers are just 7-8 on the road. We've seen them come together, though, as a group. The thing is that this game means a ton to the Pelicans. They're starting to play their best basketball of the year. Everyone's talking about what the Clippers are doing. The Clippers are coming to town. They want to beat them on their home floor.
Mm-hmm.
This game doesn't matter to the Clippers. They're fine.
Yeah.
They're playing good basketball. They're getting right.
Yeah.
They just want to leave healthy.
I agree. They were motivated to beat the Suns. I think their motivation was better in that last game. For sure. And New Orleans, but see, they just came off a big win versus Minnesota, though. So, this is a tricky game, Jimmy. Very tricky game.
Both teams in the same situation off the 4 straight wins. This is sort of a coin flip.
Yeah.
The reason why I can move with BJ on it is because 73% of the tickets are on the Clippers and 43% of the cat. That's enough for me to say, okay, I feel like I've got a very, very slight advantage fading the public in this spot.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that. All right, let's move on. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to roll with BJ and deal with consequences. I expect them to be profitable. Portland Trailblazers 9-24, 4-13 on the road. Dallas Mavericks 20-15, 9-7 at home at American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Both teams 2-3 over their past 5. Both teams playing at a similar pace. Portland 101.10 possessions a game. Dallas 101.60 possessions a game. These teams just met Wednesday here in Dallas, where the Mavs destroyed the Blazers 126-97. Luka goes for 41, puts up 30 in the first half. Kyrie, second game back from the heel injury, goes for 29. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Whatever. And I do think that this is a bounce back spot for Portland, but I don't want Portland over 48 minutes unless you're hoping for some sort of a backdoor situation.
Mm-hmm.
So this has got to be a spot where they got absolutely annihilated. Are you just not going to show any heart and any character whatsoever, at least in the first quarter? I mean, already with this spread down to 9, this opened up at 10.5. We have a point and a half move here. I mean, that's a big move. Let's go right to the cash flow then in this spot. So we have the point and a half move. And look, 80% of tickets and 93% of cash are on the Blazers. Maybe that's too much. Maybe everybody's expecting them to bounce back. Remember, it's not the public that gets in on the morning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The public comes in later. So maybe you don't need to feel too bad about being on the side like that. At least the books are showing some concern, a point and a half of concern. Take a look at this total sitting at 236.5. It opened up at 237.5, got up to 238.5. We've U-shaped movement, and then from the cash for the total, 62% tickets, 90% cash on the over. How did the Blazers not bounce back in the first quarter? I mean, I don't mean to simplify things too much. Astute Chaos on that first half over 120. Rance and Brent Cook want nothing to do with this game, and I get it. Take it away for us here, LJ. Blazers, Mavericks.
Yeah, I'm with Stu. Over first half, 120. Dallas, 11-4 to the over first half at home. They put up points. They're putting out like 65, 70 points a game in the first half. I mean, the fact that Kyrie's back too to join Luka in that arsenal, I mean, you just can't stop these Mavs in the first half. Like, I was leaning to take the spread, but I think it's a little bit too big. That's 10.5. I guess the spread is 5.5 in the first half. So
it's down to 9.
No, with the first half spread.
Yeah, so that will be down less than 5.5.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm not interested in it, but I will take the points because whoever's up in the first half, I believe a lot of points are going to be scored just because Dallas first half, they're putting up at least 65, 70 points. But as far as Portland, man, I'm not going to take the game. They're 0-11 on the road versus the West, 2-3 against the spread last 5, 3-7 their last 10. Dallas has been playing better, but they only 4-6 in their last 10 straight up. So not too much of an advantage for me to take the full game. Like you said, they just smacked them up, a couple of days ago. So what's the motivation to smack them up again? It's probably unlikely for me, but I'm just confident that the first half is going to go over. It's similar to how Dallas starts first period over at home. It's the same exact trend with the Dallas Mavericks. First half over, keep smashing Dallas at home, first half over. So that is my play in this game. And, of course, Luka's points. Y'all can always look at Luka's PRA points, rebounds, assists. He's always going to pretty much cash that at home. But, they're probably going to have it juiced up to where it's probably going to price us out. But first half over at home for the Dallas Mavs is the play.
And if you still want 120, we can get you that minus 111 over at Pinnacle. Luka, Lively, Morris, Grant Williams, all game time decisions. Exum, Kleber, and Holmes out. Ayton out, of course, with Brown. So it's the Baji show, Kamara show. Jesus, that's an ugly group. So that first half over 120 at minus 111.
Yep.
God, I want the Blazers first quarter. Just absolute trash.
Yeah,
Jeez.
4-7 against the spread in the first quarter, last 11 games for Portland. So just to give that number to you.
Yeah, no, this is simply after the ass kicking.
Yeah, I get it.
After the ass kicking.
I get it.
I mean, if I was in Vegas, just to have some fun, I would take the Blazers race to 20 for a huge score and to see if we can just,
yeah.
But I'm not. This is just a regular day where we're just trying to win, not just have some glory. So LJ on the first half over 120 minus 111. I'm going to have to be on the Blazers first quarter. Let's move on to 9 p.m. Eastern. We have the Orlando Magic 19-15, 7-11 on the road. Nuggets 24-11, 14-3 at home. Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. This is a fascinating cap here because you have this Nuggets team off of the play of the year.
Yes.
And, the 40-footer at the buzzer by Jokic. God, he's just so money in the bank, dude. And then Orlando comes in off their third straight loss. They played their hearts out, 138-135 at Sacramento in double overtime on Wednesday. These teams play at the exact same pace, 98.69 possessions a game for Orlando, 98.30 for Denver. This is just last 5 games. Of course, the very different results. Now, Orlando on this tough road trip, 1-4 over their past 5, whereas Denver's 4-1 over their past 5. You have everybody supposedly playing at this point for Denver, and that's certainly not the case for Orlando. I mean, there's a reason why Banchero has to go off for 40+ for them to stay in games right now. No Wagner. That's Franz Wagner. No Isaac. No Slow-Mo Joe. No Gary Harris. No Markelle Fultz. And then Carter is a game-time decision right now. So you have a very, very beat-up Magic squad. And I'm right with you guys. How are the Nuggets going to be sharp early? I mean, they didn't even leave. They didn't even go to the room for a half hour after that game. They were just sitting, soaking it all in, watching the Warriors fans leave in sadness. The look of Curry just staring is just
biting his mouthpiece.
Why you love sports? It's just, I mean, that stuff is just so natural. They were down 18 with 6 minutes left, 6-7 minutes left. They were down. What were they down with 3 minutes left? They were down 12. I mean, it's
12. I think 11 or 12, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Was extremely, extremely impressive, but I'm hesitant even still to take the Magic first quarter. off the double overtime spot. Stucast says, this is most interesting. Both are coming off emotional games. Orlando be gutted from Wednesday. How will Denver respond after last night? I think you guys are right. I think you're on the right track with Magic first quarter. I'm very interested in it. Let's take a look at the line history here as well. And then why don't we look at just the line history of the first quarter, although that will just go, toe and toe with whatever's happening full game. But from the line history standpoint here, we have Orlando sitting at plus 9.5. I mean, even that, I don't know how you don't bet that.
Right.
Opened up at 9, moved to 9.5. That 9.5 is juiced. If you want, so it's not a real move to 9.5, really a pinnacle, because that 9.5 is at plus 102 for Denver. So that 9.5, a half point move towards them. We'll just take a quick look at what that first quarter line movement is. First quarter with Orlando has opened up at, wow. So Pinnacle, so it's up. So look at this. Jesus, we're just too late on this. Damn it. Pinnacle opened this up plus 3.5. It's moved to full point. Moved to full point in Orlando's direction that first quarter. Damn it. Now that 2.5 is at plus 101. That 2.5 was at minus 113 at 10:30 in the morning. So then there's got to be books hanging the threes, and there are. It's just a little bit juiced. That's telling you that Orlando's the side. God, this is scaring me, the amount of, because I would actually, on this one, I would like first quarter and full game. And then Troy's right, says none of that shit matters to Denver off the emotional games. I said that about Orlando going into Golden State, that they just don't care really, and I stand by it. I mean, but obviously there was a magical moment. So, but watching Jokic run, I haven't seen him with that much emotion when they won the championship.
Yeah. So
it was fun. Okay, so let's take a look at the cash flow then here for this one. We have 64% of tickets and 59% of cash on the Magic. So there's a lot of people that believe that this is a letdown spot. I know exactly what Troy's saying. I mean, it's just like Jokic is like Ivan Drago. He just doesn't feel. He doesn't feel. He doesn't care what anybody else is feeling. He's just going to go do his job, And then total-wise, 42% of tickets, 50% of cash on the under. Take it away for us here, LJ. Looking forward to your breakdown. Fascinating spot from a capping perspective, Magic Nuggets.
Yeah, I can see how everybody's looking to the Magic first quarter now, because Denver's coming off that high. Now, if the Golden State would have hit that game winner and Denver would have lost that game, I will be all on Denver first quarter, because they're pretty much the number one team in the first quarter. 7-3 against the spread in the first quarter at home, their last 10 games. So they're 13-4 overall in the first quarter at home. So they play well in the first quarter at home. But the situation is a little bit different for me, because I don't know how they're going to respond, because they are coming off that high. The Magic just got blew out, last game. So they could easily come in here and step on Denver real fast to make Denver like, wait, hold on. Let's get our bearings together and get back in this game. I can easily see that happening. So for those type of scenarios, I had to stay off. And the reason why I'm not taking Orlando first quarter, because they're 1-4 against the spread in the first quarter last 5 games, 4-7 in their last 11. So they've been struggling early, and they're on the road too. So I just couldn't come to that. So I just rather stay off, because I wanted the situation to be different with Denver. I wish they would have lost that game instead of winning on that game winner. I would be on them hands down. But for that reason, I just had to stay off, because Orlando could easily come in here and start off real fast.
I mean, that is a huge move by Pinnacle. Now, it's come back a little bit, but that's just a huge eye-opening move. I cannot – oh, God, what the hell? You got Wagner out. I mean, does that create more intensity, because that's what you need from a team at the end of a road trip is intensity. And I imagine that we are going to get that from Orlando here. I really do. I just want to look at this road trip a little differently here if I can quickly. So it's been such a tough road trip. Good God. I mean, they start in Phoenix, lose by 5. They lose by 6 against the Warriors. They lose in double overtime by 3 against the Kings. I mean, these guys they're playing their hearts out. And how long are they going to be able to continue to do it? One thing that I can believe I can trust here is that it's not been a really long road trip.
Yeah.
But then again, this is their fourth game in 6 nights, and they're playing, and now they're playing in elevation.
Mhm.
I'm only going to be on the first quarter if I'm there at all. I'm going to have to. They got to be exhausted here. Troy says Magic's defensive intensity second to none. I don't think changes with personnel. And Michael Bobano says Magic are shorthanded. They have to be exhausted off that double overtime game, and now they have to play an altitude pass for him. I'm interested in that first quarter of them coming out ready to go and the Nuggets being a little sloppy. That will be the only thing. This is not a double up spot, which I initially thought it might be. And LJ off of this spot. Let's move on. 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Miami Heat 20-14, 11-8 on the road at the Phoenix Suns, 18-16, 10-10 at home at Footprint Center, Phoenix, Arizona. Miami 3-2 over their past 5, playing the pace 99.9 possessions a game, 15th in the league. And Phoenix playing at second slowest pace in the league, 4-1 over that period. Now they had their 4-game winning streak snapped in a pretty ugly fashion in that 131-122 loss at home versus the Clippers. I mean, that was their second straight game without KD. They were completely out of it from the beginning of the game. They were just being outplayed clearly. Durant, game time decision. Gordon, game time decision right now. Nazir, game time decision. Damian Lee out. So that's crucial information, obviously. Butler and Highsmith out for the Heat, and Martin is a game time decision. Bam's been great on this trip. Top that says my Heat just win. They do. They do. They win. 20-14, 11-8 on the road. And now they've taken over the lead in the division. So let's take a look. And the Heat snapped their 2-game losing streak with that 110-96 win at the Lakers on Wednesday. And this closes out their 5-game road trip here. I would like to fade the Heat. I would. At the end of this trip, I mean, they want, I believe they want to just to go home. They got that win against LA. They feel good about themselves. They snapped the 2-game losing streak, even though it's just like a short little losing streak. And you have to think they're tired. When we talk about the Magic not being on that long of a trip, this has been longer. This trip started out on the 28th of December. So they had all their Christmas stuff, and they head on the road. Golden State, they win by 12. They head up to Utah. They lose by 8. They head to the Clippers. They have those games in LA. So they just spend, 4 days in LA. I mean, you can just imagine, the glory that they got to deal with, the nightclubs, the women. And now they head over to Phoenix, and then now they want to go home and hide what happened from their families. I just, how are they ready to go here? Now, the problem here is what the hell do we do with the Suns and with this possible return of KD? I wish we knew he wasn't coming back. That would make it easier. Let's take a look at the spread. And does anyone have a feel for whether they think KD is going to be in the lineup or not? Do any of you guys out there are certain that he will or he will not and have seen an interview? Because that would also be helpful. Right now, we're sitting here at 4. This opened up at 4. This opened up with the Heat plus 4 minus 112 or minus 109. Excuse me. They're now minus 112. I mean, this hasn't moved at all. From a total perspective here, we're sitting at a 229. This opened up at 229 and it went to 230 and then back to 229, right? Went back. So we're just right where we started. Sorry, is that right? Yeah, so we're right back. So we've had no movement on this game at all. And then when we get to the cash flow for this spot, we have 59% of tickets and 74% of cash on the Suns. I mean, it's not moving in their direction. 28% of tickets, 93% cash on the under. Take it away for us here, LJ. Heat, Suns.
Yeah, KD, man. Jenkins just said KD wasn't at shoot-around, so I can't bet on the Suns if they don't have KD in that lineup. Their roster is just too in flux right now. A lot of players are playing out of position. Devin Booker's happen to play point and score, and they're just making too many timely turnovers for me. They're real sloppy with the ball at times just because they don't have a true point guard that can initiate that offense. We keep screaming it. So maybe the Suns front office is hearing it and trying to make a deal, but they're going to have to find someone that can handle the ball because they have too many shooters on the team. They have scores, but they have to be set up, for somebody to facilitate the ball. But all in all that said, I'm looking at the Heat early, Jimmy. The Heat are excellent in the first quarter, especially on the road. 14-4-1 against the spread on the road in the first quarter. 4-1 against the spread in the first quarter last 5 games. Mind you, the Suns, have a -4 first quarter point differential the last 3 games. So they don't play well in the first quarter as of late. So if I just want to look at the Heat early, to come out of the gate first quarter, step on the Suns like that, and just coast for the rest of the game, because I believe the Suns probably will eventually come and win the game because it's -4. That's a pretty low spread. They could probably cover that with like a nice run at the end, get hot, but just comparing up the teams, I just believe the Heat is bet on early. +6 first quarter point margin last 3. So I think the advantage is in the first quarter. So Heat first quarter is what I'm going to make official. I'm not going to worry about the full game because I believe the Suns coming off a 15-point loss versus the Clippers, I believe they're going to probably want to come and win this game. But they're probably going to have to make some adjustments in the game to see how Miami's playing them. Because Miami's a strong team. They're not going to have Butler, but you got Bam, you got Tyler, you got Duncan. So you got some scorers on that team that's going to compete. So it's going to be very interesting. The Suns are at home on Fridays, but I just don't think they're playing well enough for me to push them over a -4 spread. But I'm not trusting the Heat's going to cover that game as well because they are on the last game of their road trip. So they may get tired at the end. But coming out early, I believe the Heat have the advantage. So first quarter for the Heat.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense here. Kind of goes a little bit away from my LA trip, but I can see them being locked in the way you kind of broke it down there. I guess I'm going to have to stay off of this spot. You have some options here, though. You could have the Heat first quarter money line +121. You could have the Heat +0.5 at +107. You could have the Heat +1 at -103 or +1.5 at -113.
Let me get that one. +1.5, -113. Let me have that. And they got to win by 2. So yeah, LJ got to win by 2. Yeah,
Heat
like
first quarter +1.5 -113. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, 10 p.m. Eastern, the mighty Detroit Pistons. 3-31, 1-17 on the road at the Golden State Warriors, 16-17, 10-8 at home. I can't believe that I was the ass clown on Detroit Mercy last night. It was 22-21, and then it was 41-22 in like 2 minutes. And I was like, what the hell have I done? What was I don't know why I was trying to catch a falling knife. You can get overconfident in this business. And with college basketball, I was overconfident saying, watch me pick the right time for Detroit Mercy to win their first. Fucking stupid. Just stupid. I still ended up getting a profit out of the night in college basketball, but it was just fucking stupid. Let's talk about their friends, the Detroit Pistons. It's going to be this is such an interesting psychological situation. You have the Warriors play a great basketball game last night, and another loss, another home loss. They're 10-9 at home. They're 2 games under 500, and they watch Jokic, run off the court celebrating. Mm-hmm. And now, what will pump them up more than the worst team in the league coming to town? I can't quite figure out exactly what this does, where this puts them psychologically. Michael Buelna, Warriors first quarter -3.5. This Warriors 5th straight game of the house. I like them to come out early, get that bad taste out of their mouth. That's a legitimate look, Michael. I can get that for sure. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have, of course, that's first quarter. So we're sitting at that 3.5 that Michael Buelna just talked about. Full game, we're sitting here at +10. This opened up at +10. There's been no movement at all. None. 2 cents of movement. So very little there. And then from a total perspective here, we are sitting at 239. There are some 239.5s out there. This opened up at 240.5. This got up to 241 at one point. This move to the under has happened in the last, hour and a half or 2 hours, I should say. And then cash-wise here, 35% of it's now 34% of tickets and 90% of the cash is on the Pistons. That's why this line's not moving. The public's on the Warriors, but then you have 68% of the tickets on the over. We don't know the cash flow. Take it away, man. This is a fascinating game from a psychological standpoint. What are your expectations of the Warriors after watching the play of the year from Jokic?
My expectations is that this game is going to go over. I believe a lot of points are going to be scored. Detroit may stay in the game because don't look now, ladies and gentlemen. Detroit is 4-1 against the spread last 5 games. 5-0 against the spread in the first quarter, last 5 games. So I would be cautious trying to fade Detroit early. You know, they snapped that losing streak. Not to say, you know, they're going to just make the spectacular run. But hey, man, sometimes teams just get tired of losing and get tired of being the beat up dummy. You know what I'm saying? So punching bag, sort of say. But I think the Warriors will probably win the game just because they're coming off that loss last night. Very, very high loss that they should have won. But I'm just going to stick to the over just because the Golden State Warriors are 12-5 to the over after a loss. Detroit is 13-5 to the over on the road. All those things correlate for me. Detroit is giving up 125 points on the road, which is pretty much bottom 3 in the NBA. And they're 0-4 on the road versus the West, 0-11 versus the West overall. So I say the Warriors win the game. Don't know if they'll win by 10, but I do believe that total will go over 240 and a half.
We can get you 239.
Okay, let's do it.
So over 239 minus 107 for our guy LJ. Enough plus Allen, you know, when he asks what I can get on a team total, if you connect the dots, he's moving on it. And what I can get to Warriors team total over 124.5 minus 107. Johnny K says this is the upset. Bo Jackson says Monty Williams 0-3 against the Pacific Division. Yes, I think there's a lot of O's.
Yep.
In
There's
any
a lot of O's with Detroit.
any Pistons angle here. All right, let's move on. We got 2 games left on our card. BJ says they got the life sucked out of them yesterday, but he's still backwooting the spot, and I can understand why he is doing that. All right, next up on the board, our second to last game on the show is the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis Grizzlies at the Los Angeles Lakers. Memphis Grizzlies, that the jaw bounce has ended. That 116-111 victory, I was very interested in watching it, very interested to see what the Raps look like. And the Raps just looked like the better basketball team. And I was surprised how clear it was. Now, maybe that's just this boost, after the trade, but the Memphis did not look good. Right now, Rose and Clark are out. Williams game time decision, so everything's fine. Tillman, Jackson, Bain, Smart, Ja. And then for the Lakers, of course, they're the New England Patriots. Everybody's game time decision. LeBron, the Brow, game time decisions. They're under 500 right now. The in-tournament champs are under 500, and there's panic setting in here for the Lakers. They've lost 3 straight games. Both these teams played on Wednesday. The Lakers lost badly to the Heat without Jimmy. The Heat without Jimmy. The Lakers need this game. They need to win. Does that mean they are going to? They're sitting here at -4 at -101. They opened up at -4.5, so we have a half-point move towards the Grizzlies. Then on the total, we're sitting here at 226. That's juiced to the over. This opened up at 228.5, so we have a 2.5-point move towards the under. And then we get to the cash for this one. 68% of the tickets and 84% of the cash are on the Lakers, and this line's moving towards the Grizzlies. I mean, is there trouble in paradise? Because the books are opening up their arms right now to Lakers action.
Yeah.
21% of tickets, 50% cash on the over. I don't know exactly what to do. My instinct, my bias is saying, oh, yeah, if LeBron and AD, no, they have to win now, they'll win now. But my head is telling me this team's not that good. They're panicking, they're concerned, and maybe it's a buy low spot on the Grizzlies. Take it away for us here, LJ. I can't wait to hear your breakdown of this one. These are really fun games to close the show with Grizzlies Lakers.
Yeah, Jimmy, if I had to make a bet, if I had a free bet that I can just bet in this game, I would probably take the Lakers to win, just because of how ass Memphis is versus the road versus the West on the road. 6-9 on the road versus the West. But Ja's back in the lineup, so we're counting these like when he wasn't playing. It's a nice sample size to where he's came back and added some arsenal to that offense. But I don't know how they're going to respond. They're on a losing streak, 0-5 against the spread last 5 games. Mind you, the Lakers are 8-2. At home, straight up versus the West. So they play well in this spot, and they're in dire need of a win too. They're 1-4 against the spread last 5 games. So both these teams are not playing very well. Also in the first quarter too, the Lakers are ass in the first quarter. If y'all know, 2-9 against the spread first quarter, last 11 games. Only 2-3 against the spread the last 5. So my play this game, Jimmy, I'm taking the under. Memphis 15-7 to the under after a loss. The Lakers are 10-5 to the under as a home team. Memphis 6 games in 8 nights. These guys are tired, Jimmy, tired, ready to go home, sleep in their own beds, get some home cooking. They haven't even celebrated the new year. You know what I'm saying? So I believe they're going to want to go home. Now, I'm not saying Ja's going to want to perform tonight in front of the crowd, the stars in and getting stars out there. So, hey, he may want to shine, but I'm not expecting any of these teams, to make a hard push. Both of them are on losing streaks. Both of them have to win. But I think the Lakers have the slight advantage being at home. But I think the numbers correlate to an under. So that's my official play, under 227.
And we can get you. Oh, we can't get you 227s. This is dropping. Also,
Okay.
it's 6 and 9 days. So
I'm 6 and 9 days. I'm sorry. There's still
it's
time.
all good. You'll never see 6 and 8. That would be.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
That would be. So I apologize if you hear the kids outside. There seems to be a party going on out there. Let's grab you this under, and we're gonna go to Pinnacle because they're a little slower to moving to this under. So I think we can get you a 226.5. So let's move over to this total and the under 226.5. We can minus 109. If you want 227, it's minus 116.
No, let's do the 109.
All right, so we have. Oh shoot! Sorry, let me get back to the bottom here. We have LJ on the under 226.5 at minus 109, and DG says 2 things can be true: the Lakers stink, and the Lakers will win this game.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, no, it's well put. It's well put. So I'm going to stay off of it.
Okay.
It just doesn't really feel because the market's kind of pushing me towards the Grizzlies, but I just do it. I like the way you talked about this long road trip, the 690. I like the way you broke it all down. I feel comfortable just kind of staying off of it.
Yep.
Let's move on to our final spot on the board. The Toronto Raptors. They believe in themselves. They have some hope back in their game right now. 14-20, 5-11 on the road. Sacramento Kings 20-13, 12-6 at home. Golden One Center, Sacramento, California. If you ask us, the fans, we're happy. Again, going back to that, if we get a first overall pick, we only get them for the rookie contract. Then they leave the country. So this is great. If we bring Barrett back home, and we get 3 players in Scotty, Barrett, and Emmanuel that are between 22 and 24 years old. And maybe they like playing alongside each other because we saw that with DeMar and Kyle becoming best friends. And maybe that's a way to keep a team together in a city that will love them. Toronto 3-2 over the past 5. Let's not talk about Toronto's pace over their last 5. What we should do is talk about their pace over the last 2. And I'll do that. I'll grab that for you. I should have done that. I don't know what I was thinking. Sacramento 3-2, playing at 98.98 possessions a game. That's 19th fastest in the NBA. So here we go. We have the Raptors. Can they keep this run going on the road? That was a really impressive performance in Memphis. They were clearly the better basketball team. So they beat Cleveland at home. They put up 41 points in the first quarter, all excited. And then Cleveland wins 3 straight quarters. But then they head down to Memphis and they beat them handily. You have the Kings coming off a double overtime victory versus an undermanned Orlando team. They lose at home to Charlotte. They're just not as good as we all thought they were going to be this year. Now, it's amazing that we're saying that they're not that good and they're 20-13 and 12-6 at home. So at least this group has changed, how we see Sacramento. Let's get into the line history here then for this one. Our final spot on the board, we have right now the Raptors plus 4.5, minus 103. They opened up at 5, so we have a half-point move towards the Raptors. From a total scenario, we're sitting here at 237.5. It opened up at 238.5. It got up to 239.5, and then it started dropping. From a cash flow standpoint, we have just 27. Now it's changed. So there's some bets coming in on the Raptors. 28% of the tickets and 58% of cash on the Raptors. we've seen that with the Knicks. We're seeing that with the Raptors. I guess the Sharps are believing that this honeymoon is not over. And then 80% of tickets, 99% cash on the over. We don't see that in the marketplace. Topset says he has so much action, the sweats are coming. That was me last night after the unit raise. I was like, thank God there was nobody home until like 10:30, so I could just be in the dark by myself pacing. Take it away for us, LJ. Final game on the board, Raptors, Kings.
Yeah, Jimmy, I couldn't come to nothing on this game. Raptors, like I said, since the trade, it seemed like they got new life. They've been playing well. They moved Schroeder, to the bench. Got quickly starting, RJ Barrett out there. So I like the Raptors and how they're playing, man. They're 3-0 on the road versus the West. So they're 4-1 against the spread last 5 games. So they've been playing very well. But if you want to look early, you probably can look at the Kings early, maybe first quarter, first half, just because the Raptors are 5-11 against the spread in the first quarter on the road. So Kings 8-3 to the first half, last 11 games, 2-3 against the spread last 5. So they have a losing record. So that's why I couldn't come to the decision. I want to see the Raptors a little bit more with the new lineup, see how they, playing. And like I said, this is an East Coast versus West Coast team. I really can't dive in because it's not a lot of familiarity there. But for the most part, anything in this play, I would take Sabonis points, rebounds, and assists. Simply because centers versus Jakob Poeltl, they pretty much eat for the most part. So if you want to look at Sabonis points, somewhere around there, rebounds and assists, I would suggest that to take up just because of the matchup with Jakob Poeltl. But other than that, I can't come to a decide because Sacramento is not the same team as last year, as we all know. And like we just mentioned, the Raptors are a different team now since they traded those OG away. So all in all said, I just stayed off Jimmy because I got plenty of action today on this card.
I'm closing out my Friday night with the Raptors plus the points. I don't think the honeymoon's over. The Kings are being very underwhelming of late. And I think that the Raptors can stay in this basketball game. Speaking of the taxes, I don't know if you guys know this, but Tortorella, when he coached the Canucks, he lived across the border in Blaine, Washington, so that he wouldn't have to pay the taxes.
Smart idea.
No, man. You have to cross the border every time. He's just, for me, maybe it's a smart idea for making a little bit of extra money. Yeah. But you don't, now you have to cross the border for every meeting. You can't, like, it. He is, God, I just fucking despise Tortorella. So can you believe he lived across the border in Blaine so that he wouldn't have to pay the taxes? What a fucking guy here. Yeah. Berkey in the house did a little 2-leg parlay favorites last night. Bruins Stars says needs to get that milk back today. Yeah, man. The Bruins came back. That would be, oh God, watching the Bruins come back and then the Stars letting go of that lead. You guys, if you were looking for live bets, if the Avalanche are down, they just keep coming at you. Okay, let's review all action here in NBA. I do want to give you guys an idea of what I'm doing tomorrow in NHL. The lines aren't out yet, or maybe they just got out. So I'd like to make those bets here in the next couple hours here. But let's review NBA here with our guy, LJ from HTown. He gets his card started with the Celtics first half, -8, -108. I'm going to be on the Hawks early. Oh, God. I do not want to double up there, but I may have to. Jarek White is on the Nets +5.5. He also has a couple college basketball looks he wants us to know. Butler +6.5 from Illini Boilermakers under 155. LJ's on Shea over 32.5 points. I'm going to be on the Nets, and I'm going to have to wait here. I would like some more information here. DX in the house. What up, DX? And then the LJ's on the Wizards first quarter +3.5. We're going to revisit Jarrett Allen.
Yeah.
See if we can get you a better look on the Jarrett Allen assist. See if this is up now here in the Cavs game. Looks like it is, and it is. So let's go over to Jarrett Allen. Can we beat that? Jarrett Allen assists? No, we cannot. -174 here.
Nah.
So you're obviously on the right track. You got the -139 that was available in North Star. So
yeah.
And that was a great note from Dan Kelly. Again, for those of you guys who missed it, Jarrett Allen averaging 20 points, 15 boards, 5.5 assists over his last 6 games. So the SGP for Dan, over 19.5 points, over 13.5 rebounds, over 3.5 assists, pays +350. Nutflush on says, I will send you a text about working on Raps team total over. I love it. Nutflush, please let me know. So in that game, LJ's on the Wizards first quarter +3.5 and Jarrett Allen over 3.5. I want to join him on the Wizards first quarter. The only spot here where I may be on the other side of you is this Knicks Sixers game. I'm very interested in the Knicks, and Embiid. You know who's going to be defending Embiid? It's OG.
OG.
Yeah. He'll defend Embiid, and
Okay.
when his teammates watch him defend Embiid, they're going to fall in love with him.
Oh yeah, I would too.
Now he can defend Maxey or Embiid. Line them up. That's what we used to say when we walked into Hooters. What assholes we were. Okay, line them up. Okay, I'm interested in the Hornets, but I'm waiting. But I am interested in them here. I've got to spend a little more time on it. Minnesota Timberwolves first quarter, first half. At this point, that's the spot where I really like. Very comfortable with. The Pelicanos, I want to roll with BJ on that one. We got Perky. What's up, Papa? For the oh god, he's on the Clippers money line. Let me just finish that. Michael Blunt says, for tax purposes, you can sell the place in one state, keep your main resident in another state as long as you live more than half a year at your place of residence. Yeah, no, they nailed that. Tortorella nailed that bullshit. So BJ's max bets on the Pelicans, and I'm very interested in joining them. Blazers first quarter, I'm going to be on as well, for better or for worse. I just have to do it. I have to do it every time these teams meet each other in the same city. And even when when's the home and home, I have to do it, especially if it's the home team that lost and then they're traveling on the road.
Yeah,
that's the that for me is the best ROI I have so far this year in a small sample size. LJ's on the first half over 120 in Portland, Dallas. Magic first quarter, I've got question marks beside him and spend a little more time on. LJ's on the Heat first quarter plus 1.5 minus 113. LJ is on the over 239 minus 107 in Pistons Warriors. LJ's on the under 226.5 minus 109 in Grizzlies Lakers. I'm going to be on the Raptors full game, and that is our NBA breakdown. 14 games rocked by our LJ from HTown. LJ, great work, man. You're coming off a winning show 2 weeks ago. We didn't have you last week. We missed you when you were sick, and we need to string together winning shows, and we know that you are going to do that. Thank you for sharing all your hard work and your energy with us. I can't wait to sit beside you at Southtown 101 and live bet basketball games and break down the card with you. You crushed it last year. Remember how bad you destroyed it when we were and we all made so much money that weekend. And why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
It's time to be selfish. All you're going to do is cap sports. Nobody's going to ask you to do anything. Maybe go to the strip club. That's about it. That's about be the only thing anybody asks you to do. Other than that, do whatever you goddamn please and make money. That's what 1020 is all about. LJ, thank you for your time, my man. Please follow LJ on X at LJ Sports Media. LJ, what's going on? Raw Words Podcast, my man.
Nothing's been going on as of late, Julie. Like, I've been sick, doing a lot of stuff, so I haven't been able to put any content out. But hey, this is a new year. I'm gonna dedicate some time to try to put out some content because the NBA is thriving right now. And I'm dabbling in a little hockey, Jimmy. Like I said, Dallas first period over at home is what I've been smashing. And in my bank account has been looking lovely. So I love that. I'm probably gonna take Carolina tonight too, because I think it's a revenge versus the Capitals too. The Capitals beat them the last game. So I'm gonna be on Carolina as well tonight. So yeah, I'm riding with y'all. Like I said, I listen to all the caps, see if I can pick and choose my spots. But yeah, man, happy new year to everybody. Love the chat, everybody, keep supporting. And like you say, we will be at Popapalooza at the end of March, making some plays, cashing some tickets, having a good time, enjoying each other's company, because we all come together as a collective effort to make money and beat these bookies, gentlemen. So if y'all can get down there, I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. So yeah, shout out to everybody, man. Thanks again, Jimmy. I love doing these Fridays with you, and I will see you next Friday. We can cap this NBA card again.
I love it. There he is, our guy, LJ from H-Town. DC Capper dropping his action, Purdue, Butler, and San Jose State as well. So just to give you guys a heads up here, tomorrow, I plan on going right back to the well with Carolina. If Kochetkov is announced in officially tonight, I'm not going to necessarily bet. If it is Ranta, I'm still going to bet it. I'll just wait and get a better line. I'm going to move on the Blue Jackets. I'm going to move on the Bruins. And I'm thinking about the Golden Knights. So those are my 4 spots for tomorrow's action that I'll be figuring out, in the next couple of hours. Then Sunday, our focus, obviously, NFL Pub Hub and NFL action. But I'm going to be on the LA Kings to bounce back after this rough homestand and smash the Capitals. It's back to my fade the Capitals routine that's been so profitable. So there we go. There we are. And yes, Jose, could you pop the fundraiser for Nasty Nate's son's basketball team? Thank you for caring about that, Nut Flush. Yeah, we're going to pop that in. Thank you. It means a ton to us. Low Bag fam, respect here. So let's review all action here on our show. Let's review all action here on the show. So we're coming off 5 and 4 day in college basketball plus 0.61 units and a 4 and 6 minus 2.09 unit day in NHL. Again, I'm 1 and 10 over my last 11 overtime and shootouts in NHL, and that's going to change, and I'm going to heat up because with all those losses, I'm still sitting here down 0.86 units on the season, and that's going to change, I promise you. And also, I'm going to put out all my action every single day of the week. I'm going to bet NHL every day of the week for the rest of the year. That's the one sport where I'm still going to rock on my own. The NBA and college basketball, working with you, look at my ROI. It's disgusting. 14.29% in NBA and 31.59% in college basketball, and that's because of the cappers on the show and the cappers in the chat. And so I'm not going to mess with that shit. I'm going to keep that pure and clean. Razor Sharp Picks gave us his horse play of the day at Aqueduct. It might have already gone off. I don't have my HBI up, but here was his horse play of the day. Let me know if it hasn't gone up. It's race 4 at the Big A. Pop that here. And then Newark maximum capacity is money at Southtown, man, because you got the big, beautiful patio. We'll have just a cloud of smoke in the parking lot. Then you have the huge bar section for the regular patrons. And then we have the back room in the studio with all the TVs in the kitchen. So don't worry. We could fit hundreds. And this was Razor Sharp's. Oh, thank you. Jose's dropped the fundraiser for Nate's son's basketball team. I love it. Fanatical Jim says, are you going to be on the Flames tomorrow? No. I'm never going to be on the Flames ever. No, I'm still planning on trying to fade them tomorrow. I just at this point I've narrowed it down to those 4 spots. I'm going to focus on those 4 spots at this point. All right, but let's review all action. Let's review all action here. And look, I know that my record here in NHL is down 0.86 units, 61-68 with average line plus 110. But I do feel like I'm seeing things clearly. I'm watching so much hockey right now. I'm watching more hockey than other sports because my unit size, as I raised it on January 1st, is a little bit higher with NHL. And I'm going to heat up. I'm going to heat up. I just fucking know I'm going to heat up. And but that's not good enough. And it's not good enough where I've been, and things are going to change, man. So in NHL, Bobano's on Mercer point minus 125. Luke Hughes point. Oh, it's already off. Okay, Mike. But there's the rest of his action here. And the over 6.5 for Bobano in Chicago, New Jersey Devils. My only action is correlated with the spreadsheet play today and our guy Ron Crawford. I'm on Carolina minus 1. Bobano's on the Canes team total over 3.5. I got the Canes minus 1 and minus 106. Bobano's on the draw, Winnipeg, Anaheim. I'm still thinking about this under. Why wouldn't I be thinking about it? So I'm still thinking about this under. College Football National Championship. I'm going to bet this first half under in the next couple hours. My same game parlay is already in, and it has nothing to do with the first half under, and that's kind of like that. And then I'm not going to bet the Huskies. I'm just going to not send in my dad's action. So everything's pretty simple there for me. So that's done. The SGP that I have there is Huskies plus 3.5. I got that at plus 105 for this section. Huskies team total over 20.5 and Odunze over 89.5 receiving yards and a touchdown. Bang. Simple, clean, out. And then I'll have that first half under. Something where if I still believe in it and it's losing, I can live bet the full game under. We got all that goodness, man. So then in college basketball, this is where I've got some work to do. Bobano's on the over 142 in UConn Butler, and Dabby Cab's on UConn first half minus 2. I'm off that spot. Bobano's on Niagara minus 140. I do want a little bit more time on it. I will be on Siena. Bobano's on Siena plus 5 in the over 141. Bobano's on the over 144.5 in Canisius, Mount St. Mary's, and Canisius plus 3. Bobano's on the over 156.5 in Miami Toledo. He's on Quinnipiac minus 3.5. He's on the over 127.5 in Iona St. Peter's, and he's on St. Peter's plus 2.5. I expect to bet St. Peter's here. shortly. Bobano's on Illinois plus 10.5. He's on the over 141.5 in Bowling Green Akron. The two spots that I'm going to spend a little bit more time on are Bowling Green and San Jose State. I'm kind of on the fence whether I move on them or not. It looks like I'm going to have enough NBA action anyway, so no need to force it. Bobano's on the over on both those games, over 141.5 in Bowling Green Akron and over 138.5 in Boise State, San Jose State. And then we just went over NBA. That, my friends, is our show. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. Jose, are you able to jump on screen? I'm not sure where you're at right now. I know you were rushing all over the place to get back in action for us, but would love to have you close up the show here with us. Newarker, when it says perfect to me, yeah, it's perfect. Newarker, I can't tell you when you stroll into the Southtown 101, you're just like, oh my God, this is home. Jose, how are you, my man?
Doing well. Robbie Ray just got traded.
To who?
The Giants.
Oh wow, the Giants.
Yeah, Giants.
It was so interesting that the fan bases are so wrong. You have a team who wins the Cy Young in a free agent year. You let him walk. You don't sign him, and we did that so perfectly. What are your expectations of Robbie Ray?
I have no idea. Forgot he existed.
Been out for a while.
That was good to see. I was like, wow, look, Robbie Ray's still alive.
What did they get?
Mitch Haniger and Anthony DeSclafani.
Oh,
So,
wow.
though the real thing is that now the Giants are out on my guy Shota Umaga. The Red Sox might be signing a Japanese player. You know, that makes me, it gives me good feelings down under. Love it.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a good salary dump. I don't know if they sent over money, but it was just tweeted out a couple minutes ago. It's nice to see everyone, though. Kelly, Mike, Topset, my guy Nasty Nate, who obviously I'll be seeing too. Sopset, hope to see you too as well. Poe Palooza. Don't forget to sign up for the confidence pool, guys. I'm already in. It was easy. Picks will go live tomorrow, I believe, or not tomorrow, but everything will go live tomorrow. But
at some point in the next 24 hours, it'll all be up and we'll tweet it out and all that. Wow, so Haniger coming back.
You can still buy your tickets. You can still buy your tickets right now to just
I'll get mine
lock yourself in.
We're going to have it set up so you can see everybody who's bought their tickets, to see everyone's in. That always helps when you can see who you're going to be competing against. It's going to be a lot of fun. DC Kepper says, what play do you feel the most comfortable with? I feel the most comfortable with the Hurricanes -1 but maybe the Timberwolves first quarter, first half, maybe slightly more. But
I made 2 bets during the show.
Let's hear them.
I'm on Niagara. I'm on that. That was the easiest bet ever. I took a money line though because I'm a pussy.
Well,
-145.
So did Bobano. Does that make him a pussy?
Well, no, it's because I can say it about myself.
Okay. So you're not just.
I don't know. He bets those -140s every day, no problem. Yeah. I don't. I'm a pussy. But I also bet the Magic first quarter. I took them +3. My bookie was, I guess, a little lagging, so I took them +3. I got -120 though, disgustingly. So laying some juice.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh. Huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Lucky Lefty, we don't put those 2 words together on this show.
But other people can call you that, apparently. So
I don't know why I let Daryl get away with that. It was a huge mistake.
And Perky called you Papa today. I mean,
yeah, he did.
You read it out too. You're just like, oh, Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, no, Papa is a little better than, the term that we don't use here. That is our show for today. Thank you for mentioning the confidence pool because, we either sign up for it and like it or dislike it, talk about it, discuss it, or, we don't sign up for it and we never see it again. I will be in it. It's really fun and really simple and really enjoyable. And when it gets down to...
For some of us, it's really simple. I'm not going to say who, but we all know this individual runs in his spare time.
Okay. I've got action. Yesterday, Jose, with the amount of action I had, it lost 2 games in overtime, and I was pretty certain I was going to have a winning night with it all, and then I ended up, losing.
Have you
a-
broken your overtime streak in NHL yet?
Well, I have 1 win, but 10 losses.
Oh, okay,
I'm-
so
I'm
you
winning.
did break the streak. Yeah,
I broke the
that's nice.
streak, but then I lost 2 more. Went 0-2 last night.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna tell me that you were 0-11 in or whatever.
But I don't mind when these things happen. DG says he hates the contest. He doesn't even know what it is. He's just trying to set me off. He's just trying to set me off. I'm not gonna.
Yes,
not
yes.
gonna-
He's trying to hit you where it hurts.
Yeah, he's trying to set me off. I'm not gonna let him do that.
Oh goodness. Good.
Nut John said he's gonna make so much fucking money on San Francisco this year. You better be ready. I love it. Nut Flush. Oh yeah, it is a traditional confidence pool. DG, that's what it is. You nailed it. That's what we're doing.
He's fixing you. He's getting you.
No, that's what we're doing. You nailed it. So then you're going to be in because it's a traditional confidence pool. It's your lucky day. It's your lucky day. Then so now I guess you're in because that's exactly what it is, Dennis. A traditional confidence pool that you see everybody do in everywhere in the NFL. So you nailed it. Fuck. All right. Let's put a. I don't want to. You know what? I'm gonna block the comments so I don't see him anymore.
Okay.
Not him. Not block you, Dennis. I just don't want to see anymore. Anymore. Thank you guys. It's been a great first week back in action in 2024, and we can't do it. No, I have to look at the comments because I want to thank everybody. Fuck. Okay. Lucky Lefty, Perky, DG, Nutflush, Mike, Bo Jackson, Coin, Gamblestein, Ian Shaber, DC Capper, Kelly McInnes, Topset. Thank you guys so much. The Nuke Worker, Fanatical Jim. Thank you guys. Nutflush, Alan, all of you guys. Andrew G. Thank you. Michael Buelna, you were great. All the great insights from Michael Buelna. Troy Torrance, Voodoo Ranger. All of you guys. Thank you so much. Dave Burke, we have Berkey in the house. I love you guys. Let's get that cat. Oh, look, DG says he'll be in regardless. Okay, so it's the give and take that DG and I've had over the years.
Sure.
It's
again, he's going to come to Palooza. He's not going to say a word.
He's not,
and he's just going to blend into the crowd.
He's not going to come to Palooza. He doesn't like us that much. He endures us.
I know. Yeah, you're right.
He doesn't like us
You're
that
right.
much. Now he likes us enough to hang out with us and cap with us. So there must be something. He likes you, Jose. I know he likes you. Actually, he likes you.
Yeah, we're good buddies, of course. Yeah, we talk Blue Jays. He watches my program. He won't ever come to Palooza, but he enjoys my face every once in a while. Yeah,
he does. Thank you guys so much for the support. Now I've got a bunch of bets to make here, and we got a huge weekend ahead of us. So we have a huge NFL Pub Hub on Sunday. Then we have Sunday night Bills, Fish, and then Monday we have the National Championship. That's right after last call. That's our plan. Chris Halser looking at the Pacers, and Perky wants to steel cage match with you, Jose. So.
I offended Perky in some way. So
no, you're back. You guys are back, right? I thought you're back.
Oh no, yeah, we are. We're back. But I did offend him in some way, in some form, and now he just wants to have a cage match to solve our differences. Maybe this will be after I destroy Troy and his weak hamstrings. Who knows? But shout out to Perky.
Yeah, shout out to Perky. Remember, he also has had turf toe. Remember, he dealt with turf toe. Not to be confused with
Perky.
No, Troy. Troy's dealt with turf.
I was like, Perky had turf toe? What?
Not Perky, no. But again, not to be confused with gout. That's a boozing and not.
Okay, good. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make a hard step right on his toe. Just bam! And then I've got him.
I like it. I like everything about it. Jose, can you please bless us in the future? Thank you guys so much for your support. Truly, we have nothing without you guys. Huge weekend ahead for us. And I can't wait for our 2 live streams. It's been a while since we've rocked. So, and then of course it's thoroughbred season, baby. It's Derby season, man. We're not far away from the Derby. There it is from Jose. So we're gonna be back in business with horse shows as well. But thank you guys for your support. Please, Jose, take us into the future and bless our action. Daryl, much love, man. Respect. Take us home, Jose. Take us home.
Yeah, shout out to everyone. Shout out to Perky Sanderson. I hope you recover from your turf toe. DC Capper, everyone in here. Remember to donate to Nasty Nate's son's basketball team. He's only like $100 and some away from his goal. So somebody step up. Someone put their balls on the table and donate that $150 and say, this is from the Low Bag family, damn it. I'd like to see that happen. But until then, everyone, come out Saturday. We'll have good content on Saturday. Nadu, college basketball streams. Sunday, you guys know what it is. It'll be a whole lot of fun all rolling into Monday where the Washington Huskies win the national championship and Jimmy's dad loses a bet. Bye, Steen.